of the whole, where a number of bills are set for consideration. Among them is the gambling control bill, this being a bill from the National Assembly, Bill number 70 of the year 2023, the Tea Amendment Bill, the Maternal, Newborn and Child Health Bill, the Meteorology Bill, the National Construction Amendment Bill, and the Cancer Prevention and Control Bill.
We do have quorum now. Clerk, you may proceed to call the first order.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
The Senate Majority Leader. Senator Tabitha, you may proceed to lay the papers.
Mr. Speaker, I do beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate today. These are reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the following hospitals for the year ended 30th June 2023. We have Rabai Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, that is County Government of Kilifi. We have Mariakani Sub-County Level 4, County Government of Kilifi. Bampa Sub-County Level 4, County Government of Kilifi. Esbania Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Migori. Uriri Hospital, County Government of Migori. Makalba Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Migori. Kehancha Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Migori. Migori County Referral Hospital, County Government of Migori. Ntamaru Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Migori. Karungu Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Migori. Nyamaranga Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Migori. Bondo Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Siaya. Longisa County Referral Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Bomet. Marigat Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Baringo. Kabarchonjo Level 4, County Government of Baringo. Chemolgot Sub-County Level 4, County Government of Baringo. Tanan Sub-County Level 4, County Government of Kericho. Kipkelion Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kericho. Kapsabet County Level 4 Referral Hospital, County Government of Nandi. Vihiga County Referral Hospital, County Government of Vihiga. Kacheliba Sub-County Level 4, County Government of West Pokot. Kapenguria,
Order, Honorable Senators.
Kapenguria County Referral Hospital, County Government of West Pokot. Chepatais Level 4, County Government of Bungomba. Banisa Sub-County Level 4, County Government of Mandera. Elwak Sub-County Level 4, Mandera County. Kutulo Sub-County Level 4, Mandera County. Garissa County Level 4 Referral and Teaching Hospital, Garissa County. Moranga Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Moranga. Homa Bay County Teaching and Referral Hospital, County Government of Homa Bay. Ndiwa Level 4, Homa Bay County. Ongongo Level 4, Homa Bay County. Mbita Level 4, Homa Bay County. Kendu Bay Sub-County Hospital, Homa Bay County. Magunga Level 4 Hospital, Homa Bay County. Kitui County Referral Level 4, Kitui County. Gatundu Level 4, Kiambu County. Keringet Level 4 Sub-County, Nakuru County. Kabaza Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Nakuru. Esani Sub-County Hospital, Nyamira County. Erekenyo Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, Nyamira County. Kijauri Sub-County Level 4, Nyamira County. Nyamira County Referral Hospital, Nyamira County. And lastly, Nyamusi Sub-County Level 4, County Government of Nyamira. Mr. Speaker, I do beg to lay.
The Chairperson, Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following papers on table of the Senate today, 1st October 2024. A report on the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare on its consideration of the County Assembly's Pension Scheme Bill, Senate Bill number 14 of 2024. Also, report on the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare on the inquiry on the welfare of workers in export processing zones, EPZS, in Mombasa and Kilifi counties. I beg to lay.
The Chairperson, Standing Committee on Devolution, Senator Abbas.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate today, 1st October 2024. Reports of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations on a statement sought by Senator David Wakoli, MP, regarding the state of markets in Bungoma County. 2, a statement sought by Senator Godfrey Osisi, MP, regarding the state of markets in Vihiga. 3, an inquiry into alleged security concerns raised by Hon Herman Kapkori, the Deputy Governor of Trans Nzoia County. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motions. Report of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations.
Senator Bass.
Yes, sir.
You're supposed just to lay papers.
Sorry?
You're supposed to lay your papers. That's it.
Yeah.
You will give notice at some
Okay.
point. Next order.
So I don't know.
Have you laid your papers?
Yes.
Then that's it.
Raise back a motion of notice later.
We are getting there, Senator Abbas. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
We will pen order number 6-1. That was the notice that was supposed to be given by the majority leader. We will pen that business for today and move to the Chairperson, Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare. Senator Morgo. Any member of the committee can proceed to give notice.
Mr. Speaker, sir, on behalf of my chair, I beg to give notice of the following motion: that the Senate adopt the report of Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare on an inquiry into the plight of workers in the export processing zones, EPZs, in Mombasa and Kilifi counties, laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, 1st October 2024, for Chairperson, Standing Committee of Labor and Social Welfare.
Senator Bass, you may now proceed to give your notice.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to give the notice of the following motions. Report of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations on its inquiry into the personal security concerns raised by Hon Philomena Kapkori, Deputy Governor of Trans Nzoia County, that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations on its inquiry on the allegations of personal security concerns raised by Hon Philemon Kebukori, Deputy Governor, Censure County, laid on the table of the Senate Tuesday, 1st October 2024. 2, I also beg to give notice on the report on following motion, report of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Government Relations of the inquiry into the state of markets in Vihiga and Bungoma counties arising from a statement sought by Senators Godfrey Osusi, MP, and Senator David Wakoli, MP, that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations on its inquiry on the state of markets in Vihiga and Bungoma counties arising from statement sought by Senator Godfrey Osusi and Senator Wakoli Wafula, MP, laid on the table of the Senate on the Tuesday, 1st October 2024. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move.
Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Honorable Senator Fernandi, Senator Samson Cherankei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Request for statement on claims of mismanagement of employment, human resource and payroll matters in Nandi County. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare on claims of grave mismanagement of employment, human resource and payroll matters in Nandi County. In the statement, Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee should, 1, provide a report outlining the findings of an audit that was conducted by the Public Service Commission on the Nandi County Public Service Board and payroll management. Mr. Speaker, sir, explain the findings of the verification exercise of Nandi County staff that was carried on 13 March 2023 at Kaimosi Farmers Training College, FTC, and state why the letters of appointment were allegedly issued to the same staff now being claimed to have been recruited irregularly, giving reasons for their continued illegal employment despite the huge wage bill in the county. Mr. Speaker, sir, number 3, provide a list of all Nandi County employees indicating their terms of engagement, where they were recruited, and their details were captured in integrated payroll and personal database, IPPD. So, Speaker, number 4, appraise the Senate on the status of the investigations by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, and the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, indicating the number of staff who allegedly included relatives of the incumbent Governor Sang, among others whom it is claimed to have never reported to work in brackets ghost workers, and whose names were deleted from the payroll and have since recorded statement with the DCI or EACC. And finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, state whether the Nandi County Public Service Board has a capacity to carry out proper checks and controls in terms of ensuring integrated payroll and personal database IPPD data, staff medical insurance, and payroll management are free from manipulation and adhere to the rule of law. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator for Nairobi City County.
Honorable Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources regarding the alleged grabbing of public utility and private lands in parts of Nairobi City County. In the statement, the committee should, 1, establish the legal ownership of the following parcels of land in Nairobi City County: LR number 209/10298, designated for Maendeleo Learning Center, also used for public barazas and gazetted as a polling center in Mukuru Kwaruben Ward, Embakasi South constituency. Number 2, LR number 209/2207/7, designated for Jogoo Road Open Air Market in Maringo Ward, Makadara constituency, and lastly LR number 209/12458/8 located on Enterprise Road in Kwaruben Ward, Embakasi South constituency, registered in the name of Peter Mwangi Kane. And lastly, Honorable Speaker, the committee should state the plans and measures in place to restore the encroached parcels of land to their rightful owners. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and for Senator for Kirinyaga. Request for statement on the ongoing industrial action by the academic and non-academic members of staff of public universities in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, I rise person to standing order 53(1) to check a statement from the Standing Committee on Education regarding the ongoing nationwide strike by the academic and non-academic staff members in the public universities. Mr. Speaker, sir, the industrial action by both the University Academic Staff Union UASU and the Kenya University Staff Union KUSU has paralyzed learning in the affected institutions, disadvantaging learners and fueling the crisis in the education sector in general. In the statement, the committee should write on the nature and particular of the grievances raised by the striking academic and non-academic staff members in public universities and provide details of the form and extent of intervention the government has made to address them and explain any measures the ministry and the universities have taken to ensure a conclusive resolution of the recurrent industrial disputes and avert similar occurrence in the future. For Senator for Kirinyaga James Kamau Murango. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator for Nyandarua County, the Honorable John Methu. That statement is dropped. The Senator for Kisii County, Senator Onyonka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53(1) to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries regarding the status and management of the ADC farms in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, the Agricultural Development Corporation is a crucial institution in Kenya's agricultural sector, holding vast tracts of land intended to boost food security. Recent reports have been raised concerning about the management and utilization of this land, including the controversial lease agreements that have been signed, including underutilization and the financial instability of ADC. In the statement, Mr. Speaker, I would like the committee to provide a comprehensive list of all Agricultural Development Corporation farms in Kenya, including their specific locations, county by county. Number two, Mr. Speaker, I would like the committee to state the current operators of the farms specifying whether they are being run by individuals, corporations, entities engaged in agricultural activities on this land, and indicate if there are any known subleases or involvement of third-party operators. Mr. Speaker, number 3, I would like the committee to table a comprehensive list of all the current leases and agreements which have been signed by the government, specifying whether they are executed leases or agreements with any organization or organizations presently operating on these farms or individuals, and explain how these agreements were signed and when they were signed, and whether this agreement was signed with the agenda of having ADC to fulfill the mission of promoting food security and agricultural development in our country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Chairperson, Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources. That statement is dropped. The Chairperson, Standing Committee on National Cohesion.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I have a statement on the activities of the Standing Committee on National Cohesion, Equal Opportunity and Regional Integration for the period of April to September 2024, issued pursuant to Standing Order 56-1B. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 56-1B to make a statement on the activities of Standing Committee on National Cohesion, Equal Opportunity and Regional Integration for the period commencing April to September 2024. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, sir, during the reporting period, the committee has carried out various activities pertaining to its mandate. As a snapshot, the committee has transacted the following legislative business. A, the committee has processed 5 statements which were sought from the committees. Of the 5 statements, the committee has considered and concluded 1, leaving 4 statements pending before the committee. B, the committee is currently considering a motion by the Senate Majority Leader and the Senate Minority Leader on the current state of the nation, where on Wednesday, 24th July 2024, the Senate resolved that the Standing Committee on National Cohesion, Equal Opportunity and Regional Integration engages the Public Service Commission and the National Cohesion and Integration Commission to audit the state of employment in the public service, including county governments and the state and the proposed strategies. So engage the public service, the state of employment in the public service, including county governments, and propose strategies to adhere to meritocracy, equality, and equity of opportunities across the public service, as espoused in Article 232 of the Constitution on the values and principles of public service. C, the committee, in its consideration of the motion, has so far met with the following 28 county governments. That is County Government of Garissa, Makwiny, Taita Taveta, Trans Nzoia, Bomet, Narok, Nyeri, Kericho, Kwale, Kajiado, Marsabit, Samburu, Kilifi, Turkana, Tharaka Nithi, Kitui, Elgeyo Marakwet, Wajir, Uasin Gishu, Mandera, Nakuru, Mombasa, Nyandarua, West Pokot, Nairobi City, Nyamira, Kakamega, and Lamu. While the committee has made significant progress, we are yet to conclude on the motion. as further submissions are yet to be received from the remaining county governments for consideration in preparation of a comprehensive and accurate report to be tabled in mid-October. D, the committee, in the course of its oversight role, started an inquiry into the representation of Kenya's diversity in the staff composition of various state agencies. I am pleased to inform you that the committee has successfully met with 29 state agencies as part of inquiry process, with each agency providing valuable input towards the progress report that I will table within the course of this week. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee in future plans to, 1, conclude on the motion, the current state of the nation, on the committee findings, and drafting a report that will be tabled on the floor of the House soon, outlining the submissions and recommendations. 2, continue with an inquiry on the representation of Kenya's diversity in the staff composition of the various state agencies. And finally, 3, conduct visit to various counties on issues to do with peace, dialogue meetings, especially in conflict regions, and cohesive existence among warring communities. Number 4, lastly, Speaker, sir, I wish to appreciate the Office of the Speaker, the Senate leadership, and the Office of the Clerk of the Senate for the steadfast support that they have accorded this committee. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
The Chairperson, Standing Committee on National Security.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will read on behalf of the chair who is indisposed the committee statement. Honorable Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 56(1)B of the Senate Standing Orders to make a statement relating to the activities of the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations for the period April to August 2024. And during the period under reference, the committee held 28 sittings at which it considered various legislative proposals, bills, statements, petitions, motions, a resolution from a county assembly, and approval hearing held. The stakeholders' engagement are set out below. Number 1, pre-publication scrutiny of the committee conducted pre-publication scrutiny on 1 legislative proposal, namely the Protection of Criminal Infrastructure Bill 2024, sponsored by Senator Alan Chesan, MP. The committee approved the proposal, which has since been published as a bill. Bill 2, the committee considered 2 bills during the reporting period, namely the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substance Control Amendment Bill 2024, Senate Bill number of 2024, and the National Disaster Risk Management Bill 2023, National Assembly Bill number 23 of 2024. Owing to the ongoing public discourse on the effects of Mira and Mogoka, the committee sought extension of the time to consider the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substance Control Amendment Bill 2024 so as to engage the public in Meru County, Embu, and coastal counties. The committee is currently considering memorandum received on the National Disaster Risk Management Bill 2023, National Assembly Bill number 24 of 2023, the project to finalize on these bills and table the reports in the coming month. Number 3, statements. There were 22 statements. The committee considered 22 statements during the reporting period and concluded 15 statements, while 7 statements are ongoing. There were 5 petitions. Committee concluded in consideration 4 petitions and tabled reports in May 2024. The committee is currently considering petition concerning compensation of police officers injured in the line of duty, which was directed from the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare, and the committee is currently meeting with the petitioners and relevant stakeholders. 4 resolution from the County Assembly, and the committee concluded the consideration of resolution from the County Assembly of Elgeyo Marakwet on measures to curb banditry in Kerio Valley and tabled its report. Motions, there is one motion. The committee is currently considering resolution of the Senate arising from the adoption of the motion on current status of the nation, and the committee is meeting with the relevant stakeholders and will be tabling its report in Senate during the month of October. Approval hearing, the committee jointly concluded an approval hearing of Mr. Douglas Kirocho Kanja, the nominee for appointment to the position of Inspector General of the National Police Service with its counterpart committee of the National Assembly, and the committee approved the nominee for the appointment to the Inspector General. Stakeholder engagement, the committee held a stakeholders forum to receive submission from various stakeholders on the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substance Control Amendment Bill 2024, Senate Bill number 1 of 2024, and conducted retreat with the Ministry of Interior and National Administration to discuss ministry's memorandum on the bill. The detailed status of the legislative business considered by the committee during the reporting period is attached and annexed to this statement. Honorable Speaker, during the remainder of the third session of the committee, we have prioritized the conclusion of the legislative business before the committee, as well as the county visits as mentioned. As I conclude, I wish to thank the Office of the Speaker and the Clerk of the Senate for the steadfast support that they have accorded to the committee, as well as the members of the committee for their utmost dedication and committed to the duty. I don't think whether I should go through all the annexes, Mr. Speaker. The report is available for perusal. I thank you.
Senator Hazano.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I rise to request a statement on the persistent failure by the government entities to reserve at least 30% of their procurement value in every financial year for disadvantaged groups. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget regarding the persistent failure by the government entities to reserve at least 30% of their procurement budgetary allocations in every financial year for the youth, women, and persons with disabilities as mandated by the law. In the statement, the committee should, 1, outline measures put in place to ensure transparency in the award of tenders by the government entities. 2, state actions taken to ensure all government agencies reserve at least 30% of their procurement budget in every financial year for the youth, women, and persons with disability, disclosing the channels available to the public for reporting non-compliance. 3, disclose the findings and recommendations of the most recent audit conducted to ascertain whether government entities have reserved procurement opportunities for the youth, women, and persons with disability as mandated by the law. 4th, provide details on programs and interventions by the government aimed at addressing challenges that prevent the youth from securing tenders, particularly lack of access to funding, complex tender requirements, and limited knowledge on the procurement processes. And lastly, but not least, explain how government entities verify the legitimacy of youth-owned enterprises when awarding tenders to ensure that the older and wealthier businessmen do not use these enterprises as a cover to secure tenders. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, I will allow comments on these statements for 15 minutes. The Honorable Maanzo Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to comment on Senator Chiregai's statement. Mr. Speaker, there are quite a number of ghost workers in many counties, Mr. Speaker. Memory serves us right that recently the Senator for Kisii, the Honorable Simba Arati, took stock, even beginning with the drivers. There were quite a number of employed drivers who did not have even a vehicle to drive, Mr. Speaker. So I think it is important to audit every single county, bearing in mind this problem started from the county councils so that we don't have ghost workers in the counties and that the money is going to the counties is put into good use. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Miraj. Senator Nderitu. Kenyu.
Asante Bwana Spika, nataka kuunga mkono taarifa iliyoletwa na Senator Onyonka kuhusu usimamizi wa shamba la ADC. Bwana Spika, Bwana Spika, ni taarifa nzuri sana nikiunga mkono Bwana Spika, kwa sababu ukitembelea kama sehemu ya Laikipia kuna lile shamba kubwa sana Bwana Spika la ADC, lakini unapata badala ya shamba lile kuwa afueni kwa ufanyi biashara kwa serikali Bwana Spika, kwa kuweka mifugo hasa ng'ombe wa nyama, unapata ya kwamba la shamba lile linakuwa kama donda sugu kwa wakaji wa sehemu ile Bwana Spika, kwa sababu unapata wale wafugaji na wezi wanajificha katika ile sehemu Bwana Spika, na kuweza kuwavizia na kuwavamia wakazi wa sehemu zile ambao hawana hatia yoyote Bwana Spika. Vile vile unapata Bwana Spika, sehemu ile inatumika vibaya Bwana Spika, kwa sababu serikali haizingatii kuweka usalama katika ile shamba, kwa sababu imekuwa ni shamba kubwa, wamelemewa kufanya zile kazi ambao wanapaswa kuitumia Bwana Spika. Unapata hata wanyama wa mwituni Bwana Spika kama ndovu ambao wanaishi pale, na kwa sababu pale wamevamia, wanaweza kuvamia mashamba ya wakulima Bwana Spika kila wakati Bwana Spika. Kwa hivyo haya mashamba ya ADC Bwana Spika, badala ya kuwa faida kwa wananchi Bwana Spika, inakuwa ni donda sugu, inaendelea kuwasumbua wananchi. Kwa hivyo vile ambavyo ningependa kusema ni kamati ambayo inahusika Bwana Spika waweze kuzingatia na kusema ya kwamba ikiwa serikali imeshindwa Bwana Spika na kuilinda ile shamba Bwana Spika, iweze kuwagawanyia wananchi waweze kuitumia na hali ambayo inafaa kutumiwa. Nashukuru Bwana Spika.
Senator Beth Siengo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support the statement sought by Senator for Nairobi City County on the grabbing of public facilities and utilities in Nairobi. And Mr. Speaker, it is not only in Nairobi, but in several counties where individuals who are influential think that they can grab land, they can take public utilities for their own personal use. Mr. Speaker, this is wrong, and moving that direction, Mr. Speaker, the country will not move forward. It is good to be truthful and straight to serve Kenyans willingly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Chiranke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just to comment on the statement of Senator Richard Onyonga on the issue of ADC. Mr. Speaker, you are aware even in Nandi County and across most of our agricultural areas, what I will seek further clarification on this matter that has been raised by Senator Onyonga is the number of acreage that is still with ADC, Mr. Speaker. You remember in Trans Nzoia, we have a huge land, Mr. Speaker, that is being leased out, that is used to propagate seeds, Mr. Speaker. It was sad during this planting season that as farmers of maize almost had insufficient seeds that were used to plant maize during this season, Mr. Speaker. So we really want to know what is happening at ADC. Mr. Speaker, ADC are running on red, Mr. Speaker. We are going to another planting season, Mr. Speaker. There are short rains, Mr. Speaker. Propagation of seeds by ADC and Kenya Seed and other farms that are being run by Agricultural Development Authority, Mr. Speaker, corporation must be known. Number two, Mr. Speaker, what I wish to know is the number of ADC farms in terms of acreage. Number four, Mr. Speaker, the management of ADC, Mr. Speaker. And then finally, Mr. Speaker, on source revenue of Agricultural Development Corporation, Mr. Speaker, you are aware they are leasing their 1 acre as 200 shillings, Mr. Speaker. It affects the revenue stream to ADC, Mr. Speaker. Where I come from, and many people tell you, even in Narok, where Senator Ledama comes from, and I'm happy now is a serious delegation of government side in international engagements, you are hiring, Mr. Speaker, an acre of 4,000 Kenya shillings, Mr. Speaker. When you come to Nandi, and around Wazingishu counties, Mr. Speaker, you are leasing farm up between 5,000 to 10,000, Mr. Speaker. But when you lease farm from ADC, Mr. Speaker, you are leasing only with only 200 shillings, Mr. Speaker. We must invite ADC to tell us what they are doing so that most of our suckers do not appear in the red, Mr. Speaker. In line with Senator Sifuna's statement on grabbing, I think the problem in this country, Mr. Speaker, is we have a disease called grabiosis. I don't know why would somebody want to grab land. When you die, Mr. Speaker, it is only 4 by 6 and 6 feet to go down. Even if you have 2 million acres of farm, where will you go with it? You will leave everything on this earth, Mr. Speaker. People are grabbing. They're grabbing menace. You saw, Mr. Speaker, in the government printer. We are being told somebody has gone to government printer and printed out title deeds, Mr. Speaker. This is how corruption has sunk too low, Mr. Speaker. In fact, as we're talking, the government printer should have been shut down. Even I want to tell members to be careful. When you want, Mr. Speaker, through you, when you have a title deed, I advise you to charge with a bank for the security of your land, Mr. Speaker. We are no longer sure. Even people who have received Christ, if you are not careful, you might lose your baptismal certificate before the Jesus comes. So, Mr. Speaker, we need to be careful. With those very many remarks, I support.
Senator Wamatinga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. So I like to support the statement by Senator Fonadi. Indeed, in this country, where we have failed to embrace technology, to leverage on technology to ensure that we do things right, Mr. Speaker, sir, the issue of ghost workers has been discussed severally in this country. We have been told as much and as many as so many people are working, are finding their ways in payrolls, in pension schemes, but they are ghosts, Mr. Speaker. In an age where we have the IT of things, the Internet of Things, Mr. Speaker, it is just a question of placing a button and knowing who was born when, who died when, and who is employed where. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is the convenience of those in the leadership and those who are running the organization not to explore, not to even interrogate, and not to lay bare because they benefit from the ghost workers. Moving forward, Mr. Speaker, it is a high time that we look at laws that enforce application of technology, leveraging of applications that make it foolproof, that they cannot exceed the time that you are supposed to be employed. If you're employed at 20, we know, Mr. Speaker, the retirement age, you have to exit and it's mandatory. However, Mr. Speaker, sir, it is known in a country where death certificates are issued, people continue to draw pensions even long after they've passed on. Mr. Speaker, sir, most of the county governments, they have huge payrolls, and some of them, Mr. Speaker, they are ghost workers. The only way to address this, Mr. Speaker, is to ensure that once people are employed, they're made public, it is put in the application, and once they retire again, this application will automatically prompt their dismissal and they are being removed from the payroll. As I conclude, Mr. Speaker, sir, it is a responsibility that we have as Kenyans to ensure that this country lands, because at the end of the day, Mr. Speaker, this country is not only bigger than us, belongs to every one of us, and we have a responsibility as leaders today to ensure that we lay a firm foundation for the future generations who are coming to this country. And that's why, Mr. Speaker, sir, we cannot afford to segregate this country into counties, into ethnic groups, into ethnic lines, and we must stand as a nation and count all to be counted. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Richard Onyonka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to also mention to and congratulate my brother, Honorable Cherarkei, because he has brought this issue. I hope that the committee, Mr. Chair, that is going to sit and look at what we have done with our IPPD, what we've done with the national government in terms of the Public Service Commission, the numbers, the individuals that have been employed by government. We need to know, for example, Mr. Speaker, how many teachers we have in this republic. I can tell this House that if you asked for that list, you wouldn't get it. Mr. Speaker, recently, a Kenyan said that he went to chase for their retirement benefit payments, and when they went there, they found that they had been I don't know how to put this statement there. I was going to say that they had been killed, but I said they were dead 4 years before they went to claim their retirement benefits. And that is so shocking, Mr. Speaker, because many of our people are finding it a challenge to get their retirement benefits, to get their gratuity, to get everything that requires with HR in our country. I think I would wish and pray, Mr. Speaker, that the Committee of Labor, once they sit down, then we must come up with modalities on how we are actually going to make sure that in our republic, somebody somewhere can have a list of all the employees of government, even employees of the private sector, and make sure that we have a system whereby we can actually validate, we can actually analyze, and we can have a system that is self-vindicating. Mr. Speaker, thank you so much.
Senator Wafula.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika, ningependa kuchangia hoja ya mashamba ya ADC ambayo yamo humu nchini Mheshimiwa Spika. Zaidi Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna wafanyakazi ambao wanafanya katika mashamba haya, wanaishi katika vyumba ama nyumba zinazotambulika kama madongo poromoka Mheshimiwa Spika. Hawalipi kwa wakati unaostahili, watoto hawaendi shule, ili hali wakurugenzi na wasimamizi wa mashamba haya wanaishi maisha ya starehe bila kuwahurumia wafanyakazi hawa. Mheshimiwa Spika, hoja hii inaenda sambamba na hoja ya unyakuzi wa mashamba. Mheshimiwa Spika, katika jumba hili niliweza kuuliza maswali kuhusiana na idadi ya mashamba ya umma katika kaunti ya Bungoma. Takriban miezi 4-5 imepita Mheshimiwa Spika, majibu hayajaletwa. Na hii ni ishara tosha Mheshimiwa Spika kwamba sisi kama jumba la Senate tusipochunga mashamba katika kaunti zetu zitanyakuliwa haya mashamba. Na wakati wa ujenzi wa miundombinu na msingi katika kaunti zetu tutakosa sehemu za kuboresha maisha ya watu wa kaunti tunazotoka. Sasa ni lazima Mheshimiwa Spika tujimwae, tujizoezoe, tuhakikishe kwamba tunalinda mashamba ya kaunti ili vizazi vijavyo viweze kunufaika na mashamba haya. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Senator Beatrice Kenya.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to support the statement by the Senator of Nandi and the Senator of the Great County of Nairobi City County. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, there is a big problem on the grabbing of public land, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the public land we have in this country was acquired for a purpose. And there seem to be interest in this country on open grounds that are not limited to cemeteries, to playgrounds, to schools and other public amenities. Honorable Speaker, as I support this, I also urge the county governments all over the country to really go forward and enhance planning of their space so that every other space has a usage that can be tied to it, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on this statement on mismanagement of employment, human resource and payroll matters in Nandi County, Honorable Speaker, there's not only mismanagement of the human resource, but Honorable Speaker, our counties do not even employ technical staff that can serve our people in their different ministries. Honorable Speaker, it is a pity that in some counties you will have even over 20 drivers in a unit with one vehicle, or Honorable Speaker, or no vehicle at all. Honorable Speaker, these are employees that are categorized as support staff, but the core services that the sectors should be providing for our people are understaffed. All over the country, if you go to the agricultural department, the water department, the energy department, Honorable Speaker, and even the lands department, all these departments are under
staffed, Honorable Speaker. And this affects services that are given to our people in the counties. Honorable Speaker, other than the mismanagement, devolution was not only supposed to stop at the county headquarters. Services, our people are entitled to services down at the sub-counties and at the ward levels, and even down beyond the ward levels. But do the counties apportion staff that can give our people the said services that they require? Honorable Speaker, if you get to a sector like veterinary, where most of our farmers, or even agriculture, Honorable Speaker, where our farmers require services on their farms, even with their cattle, they can hardly get services, Honorable Speaker, because there are no technical staff to serve our people at the farms. So, Honorable Speaker, our people then end up now traveling back to the county headquarters to look at services that would have otherwise been devolved, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, I support this, and we call upon the counties to employ technical staff in the different sectors that they have in the country so that our people can get the required services. Honorable Speaker, I support.
Senator Chute.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Allow me to rise in support of a statement by Senator Chergey. Honorable Speaker, we had about 35 governors before my committee. And what I've realized is the problem this country is facing is the issue of wage bill. Honorable Speaker, we have parallel payrolls in many counties. One manual and the other one automated. Honorable Speaker, imagine a county getting a budget of 5 billion and the wage bill is 3 billion shillings. In some instances, there's even 4 billion shillings. I want to give you an example of a county of Kirinyaga. County of Kirinyaga, Honorable Speaker, they have got only 800 million for their development programs. Honorable Speaker, looking at 800 million per year, and the salary is almost 3 billion shillings. How do you manage development with only under 800 million shillings? I want to thank Governor Waiguru. She has done a lot with the 800 million per year she is getting. Honorable Speaker, the problem we need to discuss, the problem we have in this country is the issue of ghost workers. Honorable Speaker, if you look at the situation in all the counties, their wage bill is very, very high, but production is less than 50%, maybe even at 30%. If you are giving salaries to your people, and those people are not working, how do you expect to develop that particular county? That is the problem this country, people in this country, leaders need to sit and discuss. And that is the issue Chergey is raising. We had his governor today before us. We discussed the same issue. We asked the governor to come again next week to present more documents. Honorable Speaker, let me also, in support of the statement by Senator Onyonka. Honorable Speaker, there is the issue of ADC. It is very, very important. Senator Onyonka has raised this issue of ADC farm. We need to have a comprehensive report about ADC farms. If you can remember, in 1990s, with his wisdom, the then President Daniel Torotich Arap Moi gave land to the poor, 5 acres each, both in Ndabibi and Muindabi area, which is in Naivasha. These were land that belonged to the then ADC, or even now ADC. But what happened? This land ended up in the wrong hands. The PCs, the DCs, the DOs grabbed those land. If you go to Ndabibi today, we have a farm there. You can find those farms were taken by the who is who in this country. Again, Honorable Speaker,
we are facing the same problem again today, not only on ADC. The issue of investors taking government land, purporting to be building houses for low-cost housing. I said this before, and I'm saying it again. The same problem that happened in 1990 is coming back again. So I think what ADC needs to do is to tell us how many farms do they have in Kenya. There are ranches, Honorable Speaker, that were grabbed. Some were meant for IDPs. Let me say, like Solio Ranch in Laikipia. That ranch, today, it was meant, some acres were meant for IDPs. But all the acreage now, we don't know what is happening. We were told the government bought those land for IDPs. We need to know how many acres were meant for IDPs and how many acres went to individual people. And who are those individual people? Honorable Speaker, lastly, the issue of ADC is not only the issue of land. They have got animals on those farms. We need to know what is the productivity. Is it helping this country financially? If it is not helping, then we must be told what has to be done so that we engage ADC as an entity that is supposed to do business. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Mogeni.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I also rise to support the statement that was raised by Senator Onyonka on allegations that there are people who want to grab ADC farms. Mr. Speaker, I don't know for how long we'll have Kenyans who remain extremely primitive, who don't understand that there is no government in the whole world that does not value food security. Mr. Speaker, even countries that have made a lot of strides in becoming first world countries or countries that have attained industrial status, they still value food security. Mr. Speaker, if you go to Australia, they still value beef farming. The famed Angus beef comes from Australia, Mr. Speaker, because COVID in 2020 taught us, Mr. Speaker, that you don't know about tomorrow. We need to be a country that prides itself, that we can provide enough food for our people. Having gotten our new constitution that protects public land, I urge all government agencies to be proactive, Madam Speaker, in protecting public land. Land that is owned by ADC does not belong to private citizens. It belongs to the public, and by extension, it's owned by Kenyans. It will be a shame to the future generation, Mr. Speaker, if we realize that in a few years' time, we will not be able even to provide our own food. And I remember that when we were growing up, we all knew that Kitale is a food basket of Kenya. So if we reach a situation where we want to have a country of blocks everywhere, that's being very unwise. I plead with those in government, National Land Commission, who have been given the task of protecting public land, to ensure that, Mr. Speaker, we don't lose our ADC farms to these very greedy Kenyans who want to own all the land. Even if you have mansions, you have houses, and you have no food, you will finally die. Mr. Speaker, we need to protect these farms so that we still pride ourselves as a country that has food security for its people. I support Mr. Speaker.
Senator Abbas.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. Honorable Speaker, I also want to join the colleagues to support the statement for Honorable Regay. Honorable Speaker, actually, this matter is very weighty, and in most instances and in most counties, the human resource management is very poor. It is at the discretion of governors, and the remuneration the budget is just too high, over 50%, especially in my county, that most of employees who are under the manual payroll cannot be accounted for. There are many unaccounted for employees in the payrolls, manual payroll, and it attributes a lot of, a budget overshot. Honorable Speaker, one other thing I found is that the County Public Service Board is not an independent institution, as it is supposed to be. That most of the boards micromanage and given instructions for employment and to who to employ and who not to employ. And I think this is actually a matter that we need to look into, the constitution and the law that is available to the county public services, so at least they can be given full independence and they can function independently and be free from the government's influence. Honorable Speakers, in my county, there are members of the Lands Board, Tribunal, and municipalities that have been appointed in the last 5 years, and today they have not been paid their remunerations, and they are sitting allowances. The time is over, and they're having unpaid allowances, which were yet to be paid. And actually, this is actually very unfortunate. These guys are legally appointed. They are there in the law, but the thing is, the payment is not done according to the requirements. Finally, Honorable Speaker, in terms of promotions and employment of job groups, it's actually at the discretion of the governors and the cronies. Because you'll find that there are members of some staff that have been transferred from national government as a result of the devolved functions. Up to date, they're in the low job groups compared to the members the employees that have been employed by the counties. That you'll see a young graduate who's employed by the county is in job group RQ, while the man who came from national government service has been transferred to the counties are in job group K and N, and below the young graduate who has been employed by the counties. I think there's a lot of disparities, and that needs also to be rectified, and this House has to do something about it. Staff pensions and gratuities are actually being misused at the pleasures of the governors and their staff. That most of the staff don't even get their pensions sent to the respective statutory institutions, and they don't even get their gratitude when the term limits is over. So some of them even pay as you earn, even loan deductions, NSF deductions are not submitted. I think this is actually a matter of that we need to discuss as a House, so that at least we can bring some order into the House, to the management of staff within the counties. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 8, motion. Report of the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations on a petition to the Senate by Mr. Samuel Esapar on behalf of residents of Turkana County concerning the state of insecurity in Turkana County.
Now, Honorable Senators, debate on this motion had been concluded, and therefore I'll proceed to put the question. That the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations on a petition to the Senate by Mr. Samuel Esapar on behalf of the residents of Turkana County concerning the state of insecurity in Turkana County, laid on the table of the Senate on Wednesday, 7th of August, 2024. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. We will defer order number 9 and move to we'll defer number 9 and 10 and move to order number 11.
Order number 11, motion. Report of the joint sittings of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning of the National Assembly and the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget of the Senate on approval hearing of Mr. David Kibet Kemei, nominee for appointment to the position of Director General of the Competition Authority.
The Chairperson, Standing Committee on Finance and Budget.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I do beg to move that the Senate adopts the report of the joint sittings of the Departmental Committee of Finance and National Planning of the National Assembly and Finance and Budget in the Senate on the approval hearing of one Mr. David Kibet Kimei, a nominee for the appointment of Director General of the Competition Authority, which was laid on this Senate table on 26th of September. If I may proceed, Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Section 121 of the Section 12 of the Competition Act and Section 3 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval, the Senate did approve the nomination of Mr. Kibet for the appointment of Director General at Competition Authority. Mr. Speaker, during our proceedings, this was a joint sitting between the members of the National Assembly and members of the Senate that sit in the Finance and Budget Committee. We had a window of 28 days to be able to look at the credibility of the nominee. Mr. Speaker, I would want to inform the House that we only had one nominee, only one candidate for this particular position, a process that had taken place, Mr. Speaker, from an agency that had done the recruitment process of so many candidates to the point whereby the board of directors of the Competition Authority had also done their part and did select the nominee. And this nominee was seconded by the office of the Acting Cabinet Secretary, His Excellency Musalia Mudavadi, by then on the date of 6th August, as a nominee to be vetted by both houses of Parliament, that is the National Assembly and us as Senate. So in this position, we only had one candidate. Mr. Speaker, in our vetting process, we really keenly looked at the credibility, the competency, the experience of this particular candidate, and we focused more on his experience as a person. Mr. Speaker, we looked at the other credible documents or certifications that the candidate needed to uphold. One of them, of course, being the EACC reports, the HELB reports, KRA reports for certification, DCI report as well, and all were okay, Mr. Speaker. We further looked at the academic credentials, and I would want to state that the candidate holds a master's degree in business administration, finance option, and a bachelor's degree in commerce from the University of Nairobi. And as an alumni of University of Nairobi, we were also able to keenly look at if he was a student, because in the previous nomination vetting process that we did, we encountered a scenario where one of the candidates had an issue whereby the university was not able to recognize him. Mr. Kibet also had certification from CASNEP. He also had was certified in regulation specialist from the Institute of Private-Public Partnership in Washington, USA. And also he was a practitioner of executive coaching from the Academy of Executive Coaching in United Kingdom. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Kibet did indicate a wide experience of over 30 years, from being a director of at Kenya Re Insurance Company, and at some point he was also the chairman of the board. Mr. Kibet was also a part-time lecturer at Egerton University, Kabarak University, Moi University, Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, as well as the Kenya School of Monetary Studies. Mr. Kibet has also been a lecturer at Oshol College. He's been also a finance analyst at the Energy Regulatory Commission. Mr. Speaker, he has also been a board member at Africa Merchant Assurance, a revenue accountant, and also a group credit controller at Nation Media, Mr. Speaker. That then gave him a wide year experience as far as his mandate is concerned. And Mr. Speaker, as a committee from both houses, we were able to also gauge him in regards to his maturity and his competence in terms of delivering, in terms of matters, conflict of interest, Mr. Speaker, leadership skills, Mr. Speaker. We were satisfied as a committee that he is a man who's able to ensure that when it comes to his docket as a Director General at the Competition Authority of Kenya, as a country, then we'll be able to have somebody who's going to be able to keenly look at the economic situation of this country, how investors will be able to come in, and how locally there won't be any issues that affect our people locally, whereby foreigners will come and take full charge, not considering the issues as far as competition is concerned, Mr. Speaker. With those many and few, I also want to thank the committee members for their vast dedication. As I've always stated, this is one of the busiest committees in this Senate. Also thank the support from the Secretariat. And I wish to call my colleague, my senior, none other than Dr. Boni, to second. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the report of the Finance and Budget Committee on the appointment of Mr. David Kibet Kimei as ably moved by the Vice Chair of the committee, the distinguished Senator Tabitha Morin Mutinda. Mr. Speaker, sitting and listening to that candidate during the exercise, I was personally, and we were collectively convinced and persuaded that the Kenyan is eminently qualified for that job. And during the interview, Mr. Speaker, he demonstrated his competence. For that reason, we approved him, and Mr. Speaker, I second that report. Thank you.
Now, honorable senators, I proceed to propose the question that the Senate adopts the report of the joint sittings of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning of the National Assembly and the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget of the Senate on the approval hearing of Mr. David Kibet Kimei, nominee for appointment as the Director General of the Competition Authority, laid on the table of the Senate on Thursday, 26th of September 2024, and pursuant to Section 12(1) of the Competition Act and Sections 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, the Senate approved the nomination of Mr. David Kibet Kimei for appointment as the Director General of the Competition Authority. Now, before I allow debate, honorable senators, allow me to make the following communication. During the sitting of the Senate held on the 20th of March 2024, the Senator for Narok County, Senator Ledama Olekina MP, moved a motion on the status of pending bills in the counties. The Senate passed the motion on the 9th of May 2024, and pursuant to Standing Order 225-1, the resolution was communicated to the relevant government agencies, including the Controller Budget, for implementation. Standing Order 225-2 requires that within 60 days of a resolution being conveyed to the relevant Cabinet Secretary, independent commission or holder of an independent office, such persons shall provide a report to the relevant committee of the Senate in accordance with Articles 153(4)(b) and 254(2) of the Constitution. At the sitting of the Senate held on the 8th of August 2024, the matter of implementation of the resolution of the Senate on pending bills in the counties arose, where a number of senators expressed concern at the slow pace of implementation of measures to address the matter. I then directed the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget to schedule a meeting with the Controller Budget and the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury and Economic Planning to appraise the Senate on the status of pending bills and deliberate with a view to finding a lasting solution. Further, I directed the committee to extend an invitation to all senators to the said meeting. It is against this background that pursuant to Standing Order 228-4, J, as read together with Standing Order 225-2, that the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget has scheduled a meeting with the Controller Budget on Thursday, the 3rd of October 2024, to deliberate on the status of implementation of the Senate resolution on the pending bills in the counties. The meeting will take place at the Mini Chamber, County Hall, First Floor, Parliament Buildings, Nairobi, from 9:30 a.m. Honorable Senators, through this communication, the committee has extended an invitation to all senators to participate in this important meeting. Thank you. I have another communication. Honorable Senators, as you will recall, at the sitting of the Senate held on Tuesday, the 14th of May, 2024, I reported a petition by Mr. Japheth J. Makoha requesting the Senate to amend Section 32(3) of the County Governments Act on the mandate of county governors assigning portfolio of a county executive committee member to the deputy governors. Pursuant to Standing Order 238-1, I then committed the petition to the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights for consideration. Honorable Senators, subsequent to the committal of the petition to the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights, via a letter reference JLHARC/SSN/2024-10, dated the 24th of September 2024, I received a request from the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights to redirect the petition to the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations. In the letter, the chairperson stated that during the consideration of the petition by the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights, the committee observed that the subject of relations between county governors and their deputies, as well as the mandates and functions of deputy governors, was under active consideration by the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations. The chairperson further observed that the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations was also in the process of considering a legislative proposal seeking to amend Section 32 of the County Governments Act to provide for definitive rules for the office of the Deputy Governor. Now, Honorable Senators, having considered the matter as requested by the chairperson, the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights, I hereby redirect the petition submitted by Mr. Japheth J. Makoha to the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations. The committee will be required to table a report on the petition in not more than 60 calendar days from today, that is 1st of October 2024, pursuant to Standing Order 238. I thank you. Now, Honorable Senators, debate is open. On this motion, Senator Osotsi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to also make my comment on this very important motion. Mr. Speaker, the position of the Director General of Competition Authority is a very, very high-profile position because it looks at competitive behavior in our economy and takes necessary action based on law. We have so many instances of unfair competition in our economy, Mr. Speaker, which I hope the Competition Authority, under the new leadership of Mr. David Kibet Kimei, will be in a position to deal with. Competition is important, Mr. Speaker, but unfair competition also has effects on the economy. And I would like to encourage the Competition Authority to try and scan around for sectors that have instances of unfair competition and deal with, so that to open the sector to others. Mr. Speaker, this House, I know that the National Assembly and the Senate in the last session, they looked at unfair competition in the telecommunication sector, and they made a recommendation on what needed to be done. Mr. Speaker, as we speak now, nothing has happened, and we are seeing a situation where one particular operator is controlling over 80% of the market. Mr. Speaker, this is one area that we expect the Competition Authority to look into, and many, many other areas, because competition leads to better quality, competition leads to better prices, and many, many other things that consumers enjoy. So this particular authority is very important to the economy and to the consumers who, in this scenario where we are in, where we are being flooded with the cheap products in our market, this is the organization that needs to come out and help this country and consumers of this country. Mr. Speaker, this particular organization does a very important function, and therefore its leadership needs to be a leadership that is of high integrity, a leadership that is very professional, and a leadership that can be trusted. Mr. Speaker, I want to say very clearly that David Kibet Kemei is known to me. We have worked together in the Energy Regulatory Commission when I was working as the ICT director there, and he was working as a chief economist. He was a very, very serious professional, Mr. Speaker, and he left earlier than me. I do not want to go into that. But I know he's a very serious employee who is going to transform this particular organization. But I want to encourage him to ensure that there is higher standards of integrity and accountability even as he leads this organization. Mr. Speaker, having said that, I know Mr. David Kibet Kemei is coming from outside the Competition Authority, which is okay, Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker, we also need to encourage that when such an opportunity comes in an organization, the locals, the employees of that organization should be given the first opportunity, so that the managers who have worked there for long, people who have experience, can be given an opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I want to talk on behalf of my constituent, who was one of the people who are looking for this job. And he was overlooked by the Prime Cabinet Secretary, who also happens to come from his village. Mr. Speaker, I think in the future, as the committee analyzes this thing, the first question you need to ask is that was there an employee within that organization who qualifies for this position, so that you can have a reason for looking for a replacement from outside, so that we encourage professionalism, we encourage succession planning, we encourage people to aspire to higher offices within organization. It's quite unfair that when an opportunity arises, you get someone from outside to come and either become the MD, the CEO, the Director General, while you have qualified people internally. Mr. Speaker, I'm talking as a senator of Vihiga County, who is very much knowledgeable about what happened in this process. That one Robert Mbarani, who is very experienced, having worked for Kenya Revenue Authority for many years, having worked for Competition Authority for many years, and many other organizations, and is one of the senior people in this, he was overlooked simply because he's a Maragoli from Sabatia. And it is sad that he was overlooked by his own brother, who is the prime cabinet secretary of this country. Mr. Speaker, these are things that should not happen because they happen because of political consideration. But in any case, Mr. Speaker, David, I'm not doubting the qualification of David Kemei. He's qualified, he's the best, but the local employees internally should have been considered for this position.
Senator Osotsi.
Mr. Speaker,
Senator
I
Osotsi.
support.
Senator Boni Kalwale, what's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I rise under standing order number 105 on statement of fact. The distinguished senator of Vihiga has stated, Mr. Speaker, while you are consulting, that the Cabinet Prime Minister, Honorable Wycliffe Musalia Mudavadi, prevented unfairly a local of Sabatia constituency in Vihiga constituency from becoming the beneficiary to the position of Director General of the Competition Authority. Mr. Speaker, that's a fair comment. Could he, under the rules of procedure, table evidence to support that claim that Musalia Mudavadi blocked his own brother from becoming the Director General? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Osotsi, if indeed that was what you had insinuated, can you please clarify, and if that's the case, please can you either withdraw or substantiate the matter?
Mr. Speaker, Senator Halwale knows very well that I'm a well-grounded person in Vihiga, and I know a lot about what happens in Vihiga County, just the same way he knows a lot about what happens in Kakamega. The appointment was made according to the report that was tabled by the Prime Cabinet Secretary. That's a fact. It is in the report. And I know for sure that this particular individual I'm referring to.
Senator Osotsi, what is in the report?
The report talks about the name having been nominated by the Prime Cabinet Secretary. That's a fact. It's in the report. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I've interrogated with this matter before when this thing was going on, and I know a lot about this. And if challenged, I'm ready to substantiate.
Senator Osotsi.
Yeah, I'm ready to substantiate.
Senator Osotsi, the statement you're referring to, the report you're referring to, states that the Prime Cabinet Secretary nominated the said individual.
Yes.
What you have been asked to substantiate is whether or not you have evidence of whether the Prime Cabinet Secretary removed the person you're referring to as a candidate for the position of Director General.
That's why, Mr. Speaker, I have answered to say that I'm well grounded, I've interacted with this matter. And I'm the Senator of Vihiga County. There are chances that I have had meetings where this matter has come up.
Senator Osotsi, let me stop you right there. The fact that you're grounded, and we all know you're very grounded, and you might have this information. Are you able to table evidence to the fact that you're referring to, not the fact that you're aware of? Are you able to table that evidence?
Mr. Speaker, it is very unfair to ask me to table discussions that I've had in meetings somewhere. That I will not be able to table. But I will want to say that if Senator Halwale wants me to withdraw that bit,
no, it's
I
not
will
Senator,
withdraw.
it is not Senator Boni Kalwale. It is not Senator Boni Kalwale who will require you to withdraw. It's the chair. I will require you to withdraw that statement and replace it with something which is more formable, understandable.
Mr. Speaker, because I can't table the discussions we had in meetings, I will withdraw that bit, but I insist that my conscience is very clear on what happened, and as an elected leader of Vihiga County, it is sad that I had to say this on the floor of the House. Mr. Speaker, I had finished my contribution. So I have nothing more to say, only to say that the report is very clear on who the nomination authority was, but the issue of tabling the discussion in meetings, what I have heard before on this matter, I will not be able to table, and therefore that particular bit I withdraw.
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Speaker. But I support the motion because I know this gentleman called David Kemei.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Mohammed Chute.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Let me take this opportunity to oppose this motion completely. Honorable Speaker, there is a problem in this country. This country is, I don't know what name I should give this country. This country is very tribalistic. I will tell you why. This man, David Kemei, if you ask me today, shouldn't be employed. One, there is an issue with EACC. They have given a report against him. It is here. I can no problem.
What is your point of order, Senator Samson Cherargei?
Mr. Speaker,
Mohammed
understanding
Chute,
order.
please resume your seat and do your
Is
mic.
it in order, Mr. Speaker, is it in order for the Senator, my brother, Chairperson, understanding order 105 on responsibility of fact, to allege about tribalism and the issues that are within EACC, can he substantiate by tabling that evidence so that we can be satisfied?
Senator Chute, are you able to substantiate?
Honorable Speaker, in my committee, already we have a report that shows that this country is very tribalistic, and I'm going to table that report next week. So this is what is happening in this country. Everywhere you go, Honorable Speaker, let me give you a scenario. First of all, I'm ready to substantiate because it is in my report. What I'm talking about is in my report. I'm going to table next week. Honorable Speaker.
What is your point of order, Senator John Kinyo?
That's for the second.
Mr. Speaker, about tribalistic and him being chairman, maybe that's a story for another day. But Mr. Speaker, he talked about EACC, and he tables the report of EACC. Mr. Speaker.
Senator Chute, are you going to table the report?
I will table that report. It is even here. I've just seen it. I will table. That's not a big issue. But the issue of tribalism, it is in the domain of my committee. I'm going to report next week. Why am I saying this, Honorable Speaker? Honorable Speaker, when this position was advertised in the first instance, it was re-advertised again, and they changed so many things in that advertisement. What was in the advertisement earlier was removed because they wanted it to suit a particular person. So what happened, we have somebody from Marsabit who has worked in that position for almost 2 years. Because he comes from a minority, he cannot be considered. Honorable Speaker, you see the problem we are having, Honorable Speaker, the issue I am trying to raise, Honorable Speaker, this matter, the way this person was picked and selected, we need to investigate this matter. Honorable Speaker, I'm going to bring a statement to this House to investigate the process these people used to give that position to Mr. Kemei. Honorable Speaker, if you had a program before, if you had an advertisement, and that the conditions were there, and later on you advertise again, remove those conditions, bring new conditions, what does it mean? It means very clearly you have a preference, you want to give that particular position to a particular person. Honorable Speaker, my request, this country, we need to be having, we need to not to look at only one area of this country. I come from Marsabit. If somebody from Marsabit cannot be employed, he has all the qualifications. You cannot employ him because you want a particular person from a particular region. Honorable Speaker, let me say this. In fact, if I am asked today, sitting in that committee, what I have seen is, Honorable Speaker, is reliance on one particular area of this country, Honorable Speaker. And you see, the reason why I'm saying this, If you had advertised this position before, why do you change the goalpost and then re-advertise again? When it was advertised in the first instance, Mr. Kimei was not there. He was not in that shortlisting. He appeared in the second advertisement. They removed some things from those advertisements, the second one. Why do they remove? It is because they wanted to give this position to Mr. Kimei, who comes from Rift Valley, not somebody who comes from Eastern Province. This is wrong, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Cherargei, what's your point of order?
Speaker, is it in order under Article 10 of the Constitution on national values and principles of governance to allege that Mr. Kimei was given this position of Director General of Competition Authority because he comes from Rift Valley, Mr. Speaker? Is it in order even the young children seeing us profiling Kenyans, Mr. Speaker? The other day I was defending the MCA from Wajir that had been abducted and yet is to be found. I would have simply said they're adopting people from Northeastern. Is it fair, Mr. Speaker? Can the Honorable, my brother chairman, which I have tremendous respect, withdraw and say Mr. Kimei is a Kenyan like the other? Can he use other reasons?
Senator...
And he's threatening the peace and cohesiveness of the country.
Senator Mohammed Chute.
Yes, sir.
As much as we agree with your opinion, it is unfair to profile people based on regions. Please continue with your contribution without making any reference to certain regions and certain people.
Speaker, today I am Honorable Speaker, I am a disappointed man today. You know,
Commissioner, what is your point of order?
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I want to know whether my chair cohesion is in order to profile a community at the expense of its community. Yet he is the chair of the cohesion.
Very well. Senator Chute.
Honorable Speaker, what I am trying to do as the chair of cohesion, I want every part of this country to be considered. Not looking at only as if Muslims are looking at the Kaaba. They are looking at only one side, taking care of same people, doing things for only... That is not right, Honorable Speaker. I'm really... You see this point of order they are raising.
Senator Mandango, what is your point of order?
What is wrong with you people?
Honorable Speaker, I don't think, under statement of fact, Senator Chute should not lie to this country and mislead the nation that people have been looking into one direction. Senator Chute, for your information, the managing director of Kenya Portland Cement is your personal friend. You know so many people who have been appointed to government from other regions. Twalip is the head of EACC. We have the Director General for Kenya Roads Board. Senator Chute cannot mislead the nation, and Honorable Speaker, Senator Chute, in fact, should resign from being the chair of the National Cohesion Committee. If that is the kind of thinking and mentality wants to advance in this Parliament and Senate, Honorable Speaker, it is not in order. And for your information, Honorable Speaker, I want to say this for the record. As a community and as a Kalenjin community, we are going to refuse to be profiled. We are citizens of this country, and we pay taxes. We go to school like any other community in this country. The fact that the president comes from that region doesn't mean any other citizen from that region is not entitled to employment. We are tired, we are sick of being profiled, and we are going to take our rightful position, and we are going to respond to any allocation that is meant to intimidate this community.
Thank you, sir. Senator Roba, what is your point of order?
Honorable Speaker, the chair of Cohesion and Integration has made derogatory utterance against the Muslims by making reference like Muslims who face the Kaaba and they pray in one direction, or making that, and considering he's a Muslim, such simile or example being taken has not settled well with the Muslims. You need to withdraw.
Senator Mugeni, what is your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I wanted to raise on a point of order to inquire from Senator Mandago whether it is in order, Mr. Speaker, in order to show that there are fairness in distribution of jobs across the country, whether it's in order to make reference only to Muslims while the country has 42 tribes. Mr. Speaker, if Senator Mandago wants to prosecute his point of order, let him table before the House the appointments that have been made to all parastatals in the last 2 years. Then we will say the country is fair, there is fairness in the whole country. So, Mr. Speaker, if it's a matter of us being a house that is fair, let Senator Mandago table before us, Mr. Speaker, appointments that have been made to all parastatals in the last 2 years, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senators, Honorable Senators, it is Senator of Embu, what is your point of order?
Speaker, mimi na siungi rafiki wangu Senator Chute wa kutoka Marsabit, na amesema vibaya sana Senator, kwa sababu kila kitu ambayo hujahusishwa unakuwa Senate haiwezi endelea vizuri. Senator Chute, kila pahali tumeona kamati, wewe ni mwenyekiti na tunajua unafanya kazi nzuri, lakini kitu yote imekuwa katika nyumba hii hujahusishwa inaleta shinda, kwa sababu tuko county 47. Huyo mtu nasema unataka huyo ni rafiki wako, umesema saa hii na ndio umesema alitemwa, ukasema utakuja kumtetea. Bwana Speaker, nataka niambie rafiki yangu Chute, mambo mengine mpaka waashiri watu wengine waendelee vizuri, sio kila kitu yote. Tukienda kwa manyumba ni Chute, tukienda kwa kila kitu yote, kwa mafuta ni Chute, tukienda kila kitu yote Chute. Kwani Kenya sio Marsabit? Nataka ni kazi yako mpaka uonjue sisi tuko maseneta 67 na county 47. Kwa hivyo nataka nikwambie rafiki yangu Chute, huwezi kuwa kila kitu yote ni Chute. Hii haiwezekani. Kwa sababu saa hii nikiwa hapo umesema ati unakasirika rafiki yako ametemwa. Kwa hiyo hata hiyo ni kitu, hata kama itarundiwa, huyo mtu hafai kuwa ataenda kuangaliwa, kazi yake ndiye apatiwe. Tena kitu ya mwisho, tungefuata application ya kwanza ama ya pili. Kwa hiyo ile application za kwanza sikuwa na ndosari mbaya, na saa hii tumesikia umesema watu ile ya pili ndio ilifuatwa. Kwa hiyo napinga mambo ya Senator Chute. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Senator Munyihaji Mohamed Faki.
Mheshimiwa Spika, roho yangu imetulia kuona Senator Mudigi amekaa, kwa sababu alikuwa anarusha ngumi na mikono. Ukifikiri alikuwa yuko kwenye uwanja nini. Mheshimiwa Spika, vitendo kama vile vya Senator Mudigi haviongezi sifa katika bunge hili, kwa sababu inaonekana kama ambaye anapigana katika bunge. Watu wanazungumza kistaarabu hapo, Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa hivyo ndugu Mudigi, siku nyingine usijaribu kuonyesha vidole na nini. Asante.
Senator Mundingi, ningekupatia nafasi lakini ushaongea, so siwezi kupatia na sawa. Wewe jibu kwa ajili ulitajwa, jina yako ilitajwa, jibu.
Yangu Bwana Speaker, sina shinda yote ya kuwa hii nyumba ni nyumba ya wazee, na ni nyumba ambaye Senate ni hapa house. Atukwangi mimi sikwangi na shinda, ni vile nimekasirika wakati nimesikia Senator Chute akiongea kuhusu Marsabit County, na vile najua tukiwa hapa county 47 sisi wote tukiwa Senator 67 sisi tu tunaleta amani katika Kenya, na wakati tunajua Chute ndio chairman wa mambo ya devolution na mambo zile zingine, akiongea hapo nikawa nimekuwa na roho yangu ikawa haikunifurahisha. Kwa hivyo Senator Mombasa, wewe ni rafiki wangu, mimi sina maneno, ningekuomba tu vile nimeongea siku na maneno, siku na kitu yote lakini kwa moyo wangu ndio imefanya roho yangu iende juu. Kwa hivyo mimi ni rafiki wa kila county na rafiki wa kila mtu. Kwa hivyo siku na maneno yote Kwa hivyo
Asante,
rafiki wako
Senator.
amekosea, ndio imefanya nijibu na moyo. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Asante, Senator. Senator Mohamed Chute, I will allow you to continue with your contribution, but I would urge you to refrain. What is your point of procedure?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for granting me this. I just wanted to clarify as a member of the committee that the points of argument by the Senator of Marsabit are permissible in this House. That's the meaning of debate. However, before the committee, Mr. Speaker, the issues he's canvassing never came before us. Mr. Speaker, what came before us were two issues that were raised by the youth of the Republic of Kenya through their leadership and EACC. The youth raised the issue of age. We considered, and EACC brought in the issue of when Mr. Kibet was serving at the Kenya Medical, which school is that? Kenya Medical Training College, Mr. Speaker. And EACC, in writing, it excused him. And when we pursued the issue of age, Mr. Speaker, indeed, Mr. Kibet is 59 plus a few months this year. We were almost tempted on refusing him because he's approaching 60 this year. But on further scrutiny, Mr. Speaker, we found that the advert did not use age as a reason to disallow the candidate. So let it be understood that we are alive to this matter. This man, the only thing that the nomination required of us was to establish his suitability based on competence. And the bloc is very competent, and for God's sake, if we go the route of how many Muslims, how many Kalenjins will blow our country, let us just agree that mistakes have been made. We keep on making correction. Mr. Judah, there are many Muslims in senior positions than other people, and the fact that William Ruto is a Kalenjin does not mean that other Kalenjin professionals should not be given jobs. We can only ask the President and the Public Service Commission that where they want to give jobs based on communities, let them always remember that the President, being a Kalenjin, he collectively also holds a very big position in trust of other people. So they should also remember Kalenjins at the same time with the other communities. We have a country to build, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, senators.
Thank you, Senator Boni Kalwale. And Chute, just know that Senator Boni Kalwale took some of my words in his submission. And I think if you have listened to him keenly, you should be guided in how you should continue with your contribution. So please just refrain from mentioning any tribes, regions. I think most of the senators have actually guided you. And as the chair of cohesion also, there are some things which are not expected to be coming out from you. So please be guided and make your contribution, considering that you should not agitate any more of this debate.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me refer to what Senator Mandagor said. He told me you should resign. And I will ask Senator Mandagor, because he has a court case, is he going also to resign? That is what I should ask him. Number two, if I continue, Honorable Speaker, what I am saying today, please protect me against this guy.
Continue, Senator Chute.
Honorable Speaker, I want to make something very clear here. What I was saying, sir, how can I even speak? This guy is making a lot of noise in this house.
Senator Chute.
Honorable Senator Sergei is making a lot of noise.
Senator Chute.
Yes, sir.
Address the chair.
So, thank you, Chair. Chair.
Senator Fatuma Dulo, what is your point of order?
Chair, is it in order for Senator Chute to insinuate that Senator Cherargei is making noise? Because that language is unparliamentary. Can he withdraw and apologize?
Senator Chute, since it's been brought, please withdraw and apologize.
Peacemaker, but let me withdraw it. I have withdrawn that statement. I have withdrawn. And apologize. Because he is my friend. Honorable Speaker, I was elected by the people of Marsabit. It was called the Eastern Province before. And I'm here to represent the people of Marsabit. If I have any grievance, I have to speak it out. And Honorable Speaker, everybody in this house and this country knows what is happening in this country. And we needed to have equitable distribution of resources and even jobs, Honorable Speaker. What I have noticed and realized is that when this particular tender, what do you call, advert was floated, there were some conditions which were there. Later on, and I've said it before, in order to help somebody who was not earlier there, they changed that particular conditions, some conditions. So what I'm going to say, Honorable Speaker, I'm going to bring a statement to this House for the matter how this man, how the tender, the advert was advertised from day one to the end needs to be investigated. And Honorable Speaker, there are people making noise here, this House. Let me withdraw that statement. Let me withdraw. They have withdrawn. So, Honorable Speaker, let me conclude now. I want to conclude. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, everybody in this country knows what is happening in this country. Even our parliamentarians who are here today know what is happening. And it is not news to us. I think what we need to do moving forward, we need to look at all regions equitably. And as I said earlier, in conclusion, Honorable Speaker, what has happened on that particular advert from day one up to the conclusion was done in a biased manner, in a way that a particular person wanted a particular person, somebody, it is tailor-made for someone. When that man didn't appear in the first advert, they decided to change the goalposts to suit him. On the issue of age, you've seen, Honorable Speaker, Gen Zs were complaining. June 25th, we were almost killed because of the issue of Gen Zs. Why are they complaining? It is because if you look at what is happening today, before my committee, governors who came there, they have got even some employed somebody who is 76 years old, Honorable Speaker, even 86, okay? As an advisor of what? What is he advising on? How can you, Honorable Speaker, if you have a boarded vehicle, government boarded vehicle, what do you normally do? You sell it off, you scrap it. And these people at 78, at 80, who are you advising? You're advising who? So, let me conclude. So, I want to say on behalf of the people of Marsabit, we are not happy the way that...
Senator Cherargei, what is your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, the chairman of National Cohesion today is not cohesive at all. Mr. Speaker, because under Article 57 of the Constitution of Kenya, it talks about older members of society, that the state shall take measures to ensure the rights of older persons to fully participate in affairs, pursue their personal development, to live in dignity and respect, to be free from abuse, and to receive reasonable and from... Mr. Speaker, the reasonable support. Mr. Speaker, is it in order, support and guidance, Mr. Speaker, is it in order in the submission of Senator Chute, who is the chairperson of Cohesion and Equal Opportunities, to talk in a discriminative language, undermining Article 27 and 28 of the Constitution, to show that the older people of the society do not matter, Mr. Speaker? Can he withdraw and apologize? In fact, the older people are very critical in our society. Some governors hire them as advisors on marital affairs, Mr. Speaker. They have repository of wisdom, Mr. Speaker.
Their place is not advising. Their place is going to aged home to stay there, relax, and enjoy themselves. So, Honorable Speaker, this motion has brought a heated debate. Let me say in conclusion, the people of Marsabit are not happy. They must know that somebody who has been there acting for many years has been denied an opportunity. Somebody from somewhere was brought there, and under circumstances which needs investigation. In conclusion, I want to say, I oppose this motion. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Senator Olekina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me begin by saying that I empathize with my brother, Senator Chute. And I do so because when he's here, he's wearing two hats. He's the chair of national cohesion, which is supposed to ensure that there is equity, even if there's no equality in this country, and fair representation. But he's also a member of the Senate, which represent all the 47 counties. Mr. Speaker, we are being invited to debate a matter that this Honorable House and the National Assembly Joint Committee were given facts, and they were provided with one name to be able to debate, to interrogate, and to be able to establish the suitability of that candidate to serve or to be appointed. And Mr. Speaker, if I read from the report, the recommendation given by the Joint Committee of the National Assembly and the Senate, it states as follows: the committee having held and approved the nominee regarding his suitability. And I want to underline the term, the word suitability. Observe the due process. I want to underline the due process that was followed in the nomination of the nominee in accordance with Section 12 of the Competition Act, Cap 504, as read together with Section 3 and 5 of the Public Appointment, Parliamentary Approval Act 2011. The committee therefore recommends that the National Assembly and the Senate approve, and in bold, the nomination of Mr. David Kibet Kimei for the appointment as Director General, Competition Authority of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, these are the only facts which have been tabled in this House. And I want to encourage that we, in fact, our standing orders are very clear. Under statement of facts, we can only argue on matters that have been brought here. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, it is imperative that we become cognizant of other issues that my brother is raising. My brother has attempted to demonstrate how the process was flawed. I wish we had more information to that effect so that we can be able to interrogate them. This should be taken as a learning example. I don't believe that we should punish one individual, yet we have not been given information on how the process was carried out. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to be very brief and request that this House, in the respect of our distinguished senators who represented this House in the joint committee with the National Assembly, approve the appointment of this gentleman to serve. Give him an opportunity to be able to prove himself. His CV is remarkable on what he has been able to do. If indeed the board had given this task to an independent institution to be able to carry out the recruitment, but were not satisfied, and then the board came back again and decided to carry out a second process and saw that this gentleman was the one who was suitable and presented that name, I want to beseech colleagues that we look at what has been presented to us. In future, there are so many other avenues. If any other Kenyan feel that there was discrimination, they can be able to pursue another avenue and seek justice. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I would like to beseech every appointing authority, any board out there, any institution which is given out there the mandate to be able to recruit Kenyans to serve this. Let us limit ourselves to speaking about Kenya. Yes. This issue of speaking about tribal affiliation, it's painful. You know, some of us, when we start talking about that, the tears that will ooze from my eyes will be able to fill a cup. Because for years, for decades, you know, our communities have been discriminated, but really to be able to punish an individual because his name has been forwarded, I think we'll be going overboard. So, Mr. Speaker, I support the nomination of this candidate. I hope we give him an opportunity to serve. And I hope that when he serves, there are very serious issues on competition. There are issues on businesses. In fact, one of the biggest ones that we are grappling with right now is the one of Safaricom wanting to compete with a company that the value of Safaricom is only 0.03% of that company. So we need to be able to determine whether Safaricom, which is our baby, can be able to be given some preferential treatment and told, this area, let's protect it. There are various ways that we can protect our institutions. So I hope that when this gentleman takes over as the new Director General, he can look at areas that businesses can be promoted. You know, we've had these issues of milk. And I speak because I'm a milk farmer as well. I wear another hat. Of course, my dear brother here is my customer. But we have farmers. And when we have competition from neighboring countries, we have to balance. We have to look at it and say, if we bring in a lot of milk into this country, what are the unintended consequences when it comes to the issue of the farmers? So, Mr. Speaker, the task ahead is humongous, and I want to recommend that this gentleman, when he sits and he takes over his position, not to sit in the boardroom, to traverse this country called Kenya. In fact, the first stop should be Marsabit County, to be able to go and speak to our brothers in Marsabit and say, I am now the Director General of the Competition Authority. I want to know what I can be able to help. The next stop, come to Narok. You know, tell us what it is that you're going to be able to do for us and give us an opportunity to be able to thrive. What we need to be pushing forward, Mr. Speaker, is industrialization in this country. We need to make sure that the policies that we pass here are policies that will encourage our farmers to grow. Mr. Speaker, some of the things that really hurt me is that when the Finance Act was thrown out, today, milk farmers, when they import the milk cans, KRA is already charging them 35% duty on those milk cans. It was effected from July 1st. But then in reality, that Finance Act was defeated. So we just have to be diligent. We have to carry out our proper due diligence on policies that we pass here. Are they being implemented illegally? So that we deal with it as a house instead of having to wait for Kenyans to be able to go to court. Those are some of the things that this competition authority should be doing, because companies that are able to import these cans from outside the country, or they imported way before and they are better quality because of safety standards and they never paid the duty, will have a much better, they'll have sort of like higher ground to compete with these other ones which are lower. They'll have an advantage over companies that are now importing and they are subjected to that duty of 35%. So there are various angles to look at it. So, Mr. Speaker, I hope that we will proceed further, looking at Kenya as one country, talking about Kenya, and we stop this nonsense of tribes. I beg to support.
Thank you. Senator Cherargei.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. From the onset, I want to support this motion and commend the Committee of Finance and Budget for the wonderful job they have done. Mr. Speaker, led by the party leader and the chairman, Senator Ali Roba, the great senator of Mandera, Mr. Speaker, and Senator Vice Chairperson, a very able leader, Senator Mutinda, Tabita, and of course our majority whip, although sometimes he become minority whip, Senator Boni Kalwale, my neighbor, Omwami, the bullfighter. Thank you for the one, and a number of members of Finance and Budget for this wonderful report. Mr. Speaker, I want just to make a few observations. One is that Mr. David Kemei, Mr. Speaker, has a very impressive CV. Mr. Speaker, very well, he was in Kenya Reinsurance. He was a lecturer at various universities, Egerton, Moi University, Kabarak, JK, Jomo Kenyatta. Of course, yours truly went to Moi University School of Law, Mr. Speaker, and also I've been a student at the University of Nairobi. He was a lecturer and finance analyst at Energy Regulatory Board member, revenue accountant, group credit controller of media, and I'm happy the media person, Senator Wambua, just walked in. So, Mr. Speaker, this is a man with a proven track record that is proven and tested, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the Senate Committee of Finance and Budget and your office, Mr. Speaker, and the office led by the clerk Nyegenya for the impressive support on this report, Mr. Speaker. Section 12 of the Competition Act is very clear, Mr. Speaker. It says the Committee of Parliament shall consider in the appointment of Director General knowledge and experience. So when you look at the knowledge, Mr. Kemei has it. When you look at the experience over 30 years, he has it. He has everything to be the Director General of Competition Authority of Kenya, Mr. Speaker. So the committee did an extremely wonderful job. Mr. Speaker, we should not be wasting a lot of time. We should move, Mr. Speaker, and approve this motion as is. Allow Mr. David Kemei to begin the business of fixing issues within Competition Authority. Mr. Speaker, when you look under, and I want to say something, Mr. Speaker, because I had the chairperson of cohesion, national cohesion and equal opportunities, my brother and friend and my senior brother, Senator Chute. He said something about the balancing within the authority. When you look at sections 10 of members of authority, you can bring regional balance and tribal balance under Article 10 of the Constitution because there are 5 people who will be nominated. There is a representative from the Attorney General Office. There is a representative from the PS. So even if Mr. David Kemei comes from a certain tribe, the authority has board that can still be nominated to be reflective of the face of Kenya. So I wanted to correct that perception before Kenya so that they don't imagine Mr. David Kemei will be running a one-man show within the authority. The authority has a number of people who will work with it, Mr. Speaker. There is secretariat, there is management, there is board, Mr. Speaker. So reading of the Competition Authority Act is very critical, Mr. Speaker. Under Section 9, when it talks about, and I want to talk directly through you, Mr. Speaker, to Mr. David Kemei. We have a problem as milk farmers. Can you believe, Mr. Speaker, and I don't want to name a company that was once associated to a most powerful man in this country many years ago. They control over 30% of milk market share in this country. They manipulate prices of milk. Where I come from, Mr. Speaker, God has given us rain. We depend on the soil for maize, for coffee, for tea, for milk. But the sad reality of this country, Mr. Speaker, including Homa Bay, including Mombasa, including Kakamega, including Kitui, including Garissa, the most suffering person is the farmer. In fact, in the value chain of farming, Mr. Speaker, the biggest beneficiary, without fear of contradiction, are the brokers and middlemen, Mr. Speaker. Our farmers, even the Dengu farmers, Mr. Speaker, we wait for mang bills. You know, by the way, Mr. Speaker, National Assembly has decided to become a graveyard of Senate bills. The mang bill has gone there for long. The coffee bill has been there. The tea amendment bill has been there. The sugar bill has been there. We pass things here, but they become they are relegated to cemetery of bills, Mr. Speaker, in the National Assembly.
Mr. Speaker, and that is why the issue of competition authority must tell us. Why is it one person is controlling the market of milk? So that they manipulate prices, Mr. Speaker. Even in the coffee sector, the tea sector, Mr. Speaker, the reason 32 billion worth of tea is lying in Mombasa is because of lack of the competition, fair trade practices, Mr. Speaker. I want to challenge Mr. David Kemei, Mr. Speaker, that consumer protection is very critical, Mr. Speaker. We must protect consumers, Mr. Speaker. There are things that you consume in this country that when you go outside Kenya, you cannot dare see it, Mr. Speaker. I want to challenge, we must protect our consumers, Mr. Speaker. There is a time, Mr. Speaker, and even things we use, from what we consume to what we eat and we use, Mr. Speaker. We are being told, Mr. Speaker, that asbestos have been banned in this country. But there are some buildings we still have asbestos, Mr. Speaker. Somebody is selling it somewhere. What is the competition authority is doing about it, Mr. Speaker? So consumer protection is the heartbeat of the competition authority of Kenya. We have seen unfair trade practices, Mr. Speaker. My brother Senator mentioned something about the telcos in the country, Mr. Speaker. We have this telecommunication, the telcos, Mr. Speaker, like Safaricom, and we have seen Starlink, Mr. Speaker. Although Mr. Elon Musk, Mr. Speaker, blocked me in Twitter, but we'll have a conversation with him in the near future. He has brought Starlink. The Safaricom is now worried. We want that competition. It is healthy for consumers. Because the more in the market, the merrier the market, the enjoyable the market, the affordable the market for each and every consumer, Mr. Speaker. So even, and I have been asking myself, Mr. Speaker, you know, some of us use internet. Maybe you can buy with 900 shillings, you buy 10 GB. Safaricom gives you for 7 days. Why is it, Mr. Speaker, after 7 days, when I still have maybe 500 MB, it expires and disappears, Mr. Speaker? Is it not unfair for Safaricom, by the way, because that is mine, it is my money. I have bought 10 GB with 1,000 shillings. I have not used internet too much. When you look at the balance, Mr. Speaker, I still have maybe 5,000 MBs, around 0.5 GB, Mr. Speaker. When it reaches, they have given me between maybe today is fast and maybe by 7 at particular time. Why would it expire? And it is my money. I bought my bundles. Mr. Speaker, those are some of the challenges. Because internet now is becoming an elusive currency in terms of many young people, Mr. Speaker. When you go to universities, to rooms, there are many people who work here online, Mr. Speaker, including even your peer, King Larry. He could be working online. He needs that internet, Mr. Speaker. So I want to insist, Mr. Speaker, that the issue of competition authority, kindly, and I've called out competition authority before, protect consumers. There is what we call consumer protection mechanisms that we must ensure, Mr. Speaker. Even what we consume, Mr. Speaker, what is being sold in supermarkets, we need to be told the report. There are things that are being sold, they're imported, Mr. Speaker. You know, there are juices. There are, Mr. Speaker, even the diapers are being used by the children. Are they eco-friendly? In the collapse finance bill, Mr. Speaker, if you are aware, we wanted to tax the eco-tax on phones, electronic appliances, and even diapers, Mr. Speaker. These diapers that our children use, Mr. Speaker, is not even, cannot disappear or cannot get decomposed, Mr. Speaker. So that is why the eco-tax, and I don't know how the government will do to introduce eco-tax, say that my phone, which might appear, people who have iPhone 8, now I'm told it is on iPhone 16. If, for example, where do we dump? And that was the essence of eco-tax, Mr. Speaker. We need the Consumer Authority of Kenya to do what we call consumer protection, Mr. Speaker. And number two, Mr. Speaker, because I wanted to touch on only 3 things. Consumer information. Mr. Speaker, before you go and consume, Mr. Speaker, you remember there was a scandal of mercury sugar. Although finally those individuals were let scot-free, I'm told the DPP decided to, but we know, we are aware of sugar barons in this country. We saw the other day the government printer is saying that there have been titles that have been issued illegally, or they don't know. In fact, my advice, Mr. Speaker, as one of the senior lawyers in this country, if you want your lawyer to be, if you want your land to be safe, Mr. Speaker, you better charge with loan. Because if you don't charge with loan, these guys will disappear with the disease of crabiosis, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, that is the issue we wanted to...
Senator Mohamed Faki, what is your point of order?
Nimemsikia Senator Cherargei akisema kuwa yeye ni wakili mkuu. Lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi nakumbuka tukiwa bunge hili ndio Senator Cherargei inafika kama si mwaka 2020 2021 ndiye aliapishwa rasmi kama wakili wa mahakama kuu ya Kenya. Kwa hivyo je, inawezekana kwamba wakili wa miaka mitatu ajiite wakili mkuu, wakati hapa katika bunge hili tuna mawakili ambao wana cheo cha senior counsel wakiongozwa na Mheshimiwa Senator Omogeni, Senator Justice retired Mazayo, wakati sisi tuko hapa ndio tunaona Cherargei akiapishwa. Sisi ndio tulimpeleka hapa mahakama kuu kwenda kuapishwa. Asante Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Senator Cherargei, are you a senior counsel?
Mr. Speaker, I just one. Mr. Speaker, I think Senator Faki might be worried why the blogger in Mombasa was being sodomized. He didn't listen to me properly. Mr. Speaker, what I want to say, I said as a senior lawyer, Mr. Speaker, I said as a senior lawyer, I didn't say I am a senior advocate or a senior counsel. A senior lawyer, I graduated more than 15 years ago, Mr. Speaker. So I graduated with bachelors of law, Mr. Speaker. So I'm saying I'm a senior lawyer. I'm not saying I'm a senior advocate. And I wish my brother stands guided on the issue of English, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of consumer information, Mr. Speaker, we must agree and ensure there is proper consumer information, Mr. Speaker. We have technology. We have, Mr. Speaker, can the competition authority, if they are not comfortable with any product in the market, can they ensure there is consumer information as per Section 9 on the functions of the authority, Mr. Speaker? So I want to appeal consumer protection, consumer information, Mr. Speaker, is very critical. And point number 3, Mr. Speaker, because I said I'll make only 3 observations, is on the trade associations. We have the Ensure Competition Authority. I know as a country we want to go outside the country, get more investors into the country. You remember there are many PPPs in the country. There are many privately investment PPs that we have. Others is on the expressway that we have, Nairobi Expressway. There was the issue of the airport, issue overdone, Mr. Speaker. There is the issue of SHA, Social Health Authority. There are many, Mr. Speaker, that will come through PPP. For example, even this expressway, Mr. Speaker, are you aware that no one knows how much the expressway is generating in this republic, Mr. Speaker? We have asked questions. The other day when I was using expressway, Mr. Speaker, before around 1 year ago, it was 100 shillings less than it is today, Mr. Speaker. No one has told us the money we pay through expressway, how much has been paid, how much is still being owed, what will be the stake of the person who runs expressway at the end of the PIPs that they have done, Mr. Speaker. And that is why Kenyans were very critical on the issue of PPPs, even in infrastructure, Mr. Speaker. So the issue of consumer, the reason even there was you and cry on this, Mr. Speaker, on the issue of JKIA. The issue, there is a lot of noise within the university funding model. There is the issue of Social Health Act, Mr. Speaker. It's because of lack of information. If consumer authority ensures, they say, Senator Kalwale, information is power. If us, in government, can get the information out there, the people who oppose the policies of government, Mr. Speaker, and I can see one representative in the House, will not have a chance to bash the government, Mr. Speaker. So the issue of consumer information, consumer protection, Mr. Speaker, we must ensure. And I was, trade associations, Mr. Speaker, we shall promote trade freedom. I know there is Kenya Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Speaker. We can go to US, we go to Berlin, we go to all the country, Mr. Speaker. Let us be fair. Even as we invite investors, we must also ensure competition authority protect the local farmer, Mr. Speaker. Because I saw the other day in the sugar bill, there was the issue of industrial sugar. Mr. Speaker, if we allow today industrial sugar to come, we are exporting jobs and even revenue, Mr. Speaker. But if today we put tax to the industrial sugar, those people who want to import industrial sugar will rather open a local factory and generate employment and revenue with this kind, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I support this motion. I want to request that we support Competition Authority of Kenya. I hope in the tenure of Mr. David Kemei, we shall see a more robust, more assertive, more responsive authority that will ensure consumer protection, that will ensure consumer information, that will ensure freedom between freedom of trade and choices of a customer are well balanced within the Kenyan Constitution, because the Kenyan Constitution provides for consumer protection on all mechanisms, Mr. Speaker. Let us pass this and allow, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the Committee of Finance and Budget for this wonderful job. We expect other committees will do similar. With those very many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I support this motion. I thank you.
Senator Beatrice Ogola.
Honorable Speaker, I'm a bit apprehensive to support this motion, Honorable Speaker. Not because, Honorable Speaker, I should know Mr. David Kibet Kimel. I do not know him. I do not even care to know him. And I do not even care from where he comes from, Mr. Speaker, sir. All I care about is the process of the recruitment of Mr. David Kibet Kimei, who is a nominee for appointment to the position of Director General of the Competition Authority. Honorable Speaker, it concerns me that we are recruiting, a recruitment has been done not for any other authority, but for a competition authority, where in its rightful word, Honorable Speaker, we must see a process of a competitive process that is open to all other Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, it is not my saying. The mover of the motion was very indicative that there was only one name, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, we all know the rightful process of recruitment, that there has to be a selection process. And if you arrive with one name, Honorable Speaker, then the question is, who are these he was competing? I've heard the Honorable Cheragay mention a lot of competencies of Mr. David Kimei, to the extent that the Senate of Nandi says he has everything. Where everything is, what everything means, Honorable Speaker, I do not know. Because from the report of the Finance Committee, they talk about Mr. Kimei being a lecturer. But Honorable Speaker, there are other lecturers that he could have competed. The report talks about a finance analyst. But Honorable Speaker, that is not enough to say that is the most competent, because in this country, there are other finance analysts. It talks about Mr. Kimei having been a credit controller. Honorable Speaker, there are other people who have been credit controllers. So, Honorable Speaker, we must know from in this country where we are coming from. In this country, Honorable Speaker, in some of the sectors, jobs have been advertised with some people in mind. And Honorable Speaker, it must be indicative that I said that I do not know him, and I don't have to know him. But there must be a competitive process for a recruitment process. Honorable Speaker, I would expect that an appointment would be made for a position of the chair, because that is indicated. But for a Director General, Honorable Speaker, I must have seen a competitive process that gave other Kenyans room to compete Mr. David Kibet Kimei. Honorable Speaker, just 2 months ago, 3 months ago, we had a scene in this country that that culminated into a breakthrough into Parliament grounds. And if we listened properly to the young people that were demonstrating in this country, there was some message they were passing to all of us. And that is why I say I could agree with the sentiments of Senator Mohamed Chute. And to encourage him, I once read a book, A Man of the People by Henry Ibsen. And I want to encourage Senator Chute that that path he took is always a path of the lonely. There are never many people in that path, and you do not have to be uncomfortable about the rest of everybody thinking that the path he took is a wrong path. Honorable Speaker, what I'm saying is that when you talk about competence, competence is relative. Who are you being compared with to arrive at that competence and to arrive at that suitability? Honorable Speaker, there are many, many Kenyans everywhere. We would like to see a situation in this country where everybody is given a chance. We want all Kenyans to be given a chance. Honorable Speaker, we want equity to all Kenyans, and that is what every other person is crying about. Honorable Speaker, in the absence of the mention of other candidates in this process, then it leaves me with the conclusion that probably a job was advertised with Mr. David Kibet Kimei at the end of it. And so to me, Honorable Speaker, that is not a fair process. Honorable Speaker, the Competition Authority is a very crucial authority. Where I come from, Honorable Speaker, we have an industry called Ndewa Sukari Industries. And this industry of late, when I talk to our farmers in my catchment area, there's a fear, Honorable Speaker, that their sugarcane from their farms are not being harvested in good time enough because sukari industry seem to be dealing with the pressure or a challenge whereby, Honorable Speaker, they have so much sugarcane packed in their stores. They are not able to sell the sugarcane that they are producing from the factory. And Honorable Speaker, this brings a problem because then our farmers have sugarcane that is overgrowing in their farms. And Honorable Speaker, that is our main source in that constituency. Then that brings a problem. And that is why I'm saying, Honorable Speaker, that this authority is so crucial to us. We'd like a Director General that will play equity, a Director General that will look into the plight of the farmers we have in my constituency whose farms are overgrown with sugar, but they cannot be harvested because probably there are some sugar barons that are providing sugar where their sugar should be, Honorable Speaker. And that is why, to me, the Competition Authority is very, very important, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, the report that has been tabled before us, to me, is not fairly considered because I do not see the comparison that was made by any other person. So if the candidate was suitable, he was suitable against who? If there was competency, he was competent against who? We needed to see. And Honorable Speaker, this is not to say that Mr. David Kimei is not suitable, but it is to say and stress that opportunity should be given for everybody to compete against each other, and that is why we call it a recruitment, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I therefore am hesitant to support this motion, and I want to put it forward that going forward, all recruitment processes must be competitive and everybody must be given a chance. And if this is done, Honorable Speaker, then we will have a country that we all admire to live in. So, Honorable Speaker, those are my points, that I do not support this motion based on the process, based on the fact that only one name was provided, and I want to state that in future, all Kenyans must be given a chance. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Mundingi.
Asante Bwana Spika, naunga mkono kwa kuteuliwa kwa David ambaye ni Director General. Kulingana vile tunajua kukitokea nafasi ya kazi, huwa saa ingine kamati inakaa chini inachambua makaratasi, alafu inaenda inatangaza kama kuna nafasi ya kazi, na watu wengi huwa wanaandika makaratasi na kupeana ile mambo imepeana pale kwa ile kazi. Ningeunga mkono kwa sababu kulingana vile hii mambo iko, kulingana vile nisikia senta mwingine akisema ilikuwa imetangazwa safari ya kwanza na pia ikatangazwa safari ya pili, na ndipo hapo wale waliandika makaratasi ikaenda ikakaliwa chini, na wale walichambua makaratasi wakaona David anafaa kuwa ambaye ndio general ambaye wakufanya hii kazi. Kulingana na makaratasi ya David tumeona ile Sure ameenda akasomea university, hata akaenda DC na mbali mingi, hata USA. Kwa hivyo ni kumaanisha kwa hiyo kipindi amekuwa akisoma, ilikuwa walichambua makaratasi Bwana Spika, wakaangalia amesoma vizuri. Tukiangalia kwa kazi kwa miaka 30 ambaye alikuwa na mtendaji wa kazi, tumesikia akiwa alikuwa director ambaye ni wa Kenya amefanya kazi huko na kama makaratasi yake mzuri, alifanya kazi nzuri. Tumesikia hata wengine center ambaye Ashoti alisema walikuwa wafanya kazi pamoja, na pia tukasikia hata alikuwa pia Egerton University alikuwa akifanya kazi huko Kaparaka, na pia hata Kenyatta University, na pia watu waliangalia hata mahali ingine kama upande ya Sure School of Monetary Studies, hiyo yote amefanya. Pia hata kuna mahali ameguziwa alikuwa anafanya kazi kwa Energy Regulatory Commission ambaye najua ilikuwa na fanya kazi kulingana hiyo department ilikuwa inaangalia mambo ya Kenya Power, mambo ya Kengen, na pia hata mambo ya Hoiro. Na najua mimi nikiwa nafanya kazi kwa Kengen pia nilikuwa sikia njina yake na aliweza kulainisha upande wa energy. Kwa hivyo naunga mkono kuteuliwa kwake kwa sababu amefanya kazi miaka mingi ambaye ako na ujuzi. Pia tumesikia Bwana Spika alifanya hata kwa insurance merchant insurance, pia kawa kazi yake ilikuwa mzuri. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika ningeunga mkono kwa sababu angekuwa ameanza kazi mapema kwa hii kipindi ya serikali ya muungano. Bwana Spika, mambo mingi imeharibika, ienda ikawa angerainisha. Kwa sababu najua wakati alitoka kwa energy, ndipo hapo miaka ingine iliyopita Bwana Spika tulisikia Kenya Power ile kazi ilifanya, ilinua transformers ingine asikuwa inafanya kazi vizuri, na ikawa kwa sababu hakuna competition ya kampuni ambaye ya kusambaza stima isipokuwa ni Kenya Power, kungekuwa na zingine labda angetupa ujuzi wa kuwa kuko na competition ya stima ya Kenya Power. Pia Bwana Spika, mambo mingi ile tunataka ifanyike, tunasikia kama tunataka kama ni mambo ya agriculture, vitu nyingi, dawa ya kupiga dawa kama vitu kama Embu County kuna kitu inaitwa Merasto kumogoka, iende ikawa angekuwa ameangalia dawa ambaye inaweza kutusaidia ndio ile mirai yetu na mogoka iweze ukanja ile inafaa vizuri na iwe mzuri, ndio watu wasiwe wanagonjeka. Pia mimi naunga mkono kwa sababu department nyingi angekuwa amesiangalia. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, naunga kuteuliwa kwa David aweze kutufanyia kazi na kuwe na ataangalia kuwe na competition kwa kila department, ndio kila mtu aweze kufanya kazi kulingana vile inafaa. Pia angekuwako akianza kazi iende ikawa atakuja na ujuzi, ingawa ako na miaka mingi ambayo iko pale mbele, anaweza kuwa atatupatia ujuzi vijana wetu huko nje na kila kona zote, ataweza kututafutia kazi na watakuwa wanafanya kazi kulingana ile inafaa kulingana na ujuzi wake. Kwa hivyo naunga mkono serikali ambaye ni ya muungano, tumsupporti na maseneta wote ndio tuweze kuona tutufanyia kazi na mwanagani. Lakini Bwana Spika, ile kitu napinga ni mtu ambaye ndio kila mtu akisema wengine wasema iende ikawa wangeletwa majina watatu mahiri. Kazi yetu ni ile jina moja tu ambaye ni David tumeletwa hapa. Hiyo ndio kazi yetu ya kuchambua makaratasi yote na kila kitu yote hapa, ndio dakika ya mwisho tumpitishe ndio aweze kufanya kazi. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, mimi naunga mkono. Ile nakataa naye ni wale watu wanasimama wakisema huyu ni akaunti hii, ni akaunti hii. Ni kama watu wengine wanataka kutufunza, wanataka kulete sijui, wengine wanasema ni wa mlima, wengine sijui watasema unasema sasa kwao itakuwa namna gani? Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, ningepinga maseneta wale wanakuja kuongea mambo ambaye haieleweki katika seneti hii. Kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, mimi naunga mkono. Asante Bwana Spika.
Thank you. Senator Eric Okongo.
Mr. Speaker, we have had a very interesting afternoon, Mr. Speaker, from the diverse comments that we have had from senators who have spoken on this matter. Mr. Speaker, I'm speaking as somebody who has personally gone through an experience of what it means to be profiled when seeking public office. I had Senator Ososi give a chronology that when Kenyans were given an opportunity to apply for these positions, the first list was rejected because maybe there was a candidate that the government had in mind. Mr. Speaker, in 2013, around 2011, I applied to be the chair of EACC. Our names were sent to the panel that was meant to interview us. Madam Speaker, when the panel sat, they made a conclusion that probably if we leave the names to go the way they are, the strongest candidate will most likely be Senator Omogeni. And the government suo motu cancelled the advert. They looked for a particular candidate, put a second advert, and that candidate that the government had in mind made it to the short list of 3 names that went to the president. Madam Mr. Speaker, even though I was number 1 on the interview, the government was so determined that my name was overlooked and the person who was number 2 was given that chance. And I was left out, Madam Mr. Speaker. So when we hear issues being raised, Senator of Embu, about other Kenyans who have been denied an opportunity, it touches me at a personal level because I know how one feels. If you come out and you expect fairness from the appointment process, but you find that because you don't have the right connections, you are left out. My contribution before this house this afternoon is that, Mr. Speaker, we should give equal opportunity to a Kenyan who has the requisite experience and who has expressed interest to serve in the public service or in any parastatal. It is not, Mr. Speaker, about us trying to profile anybody. If the unfairness was to an Embu, Mr. Speaker, I'll have the same sentiments. If the discrimination is on Amkamba, Mr. Speaker, I'll have the same sentiments. If it's from somebody from Coast, Senator Faki's county, I'll take the same stand. If it's from your county, Mr. Speaker, from Garissa, I'll take the same stand, Mr. Speaker, because there are many Kenyans who cannot drop names so that they get jobs. The only weapon they have is good education, integrity, and good experience. And that should be our standard, Mr. Speaker, in this House. Whether you are from the Kalenjin nation, if you qualify, that is okay. But this idea of us being told that probably in this particular position there could have been some underhand dealings, Mr. Speaker, we should always, as a House, if that comes to our attention, we should always question, Mr. Speaker. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, I know that the adverts, the long list that was published by PSC, Public Service Commission, not PSC to mean Parliamentary Service Commission, and the short list and the final interview. You know, in the spirit of transparency, I want to join what the previous senator said. In the spirit of transparency, I've looked at the report. I don't know whether there were some annexures that were excluded, but I looked at the report, Mr. Speaker. I've not seen an annexure of the long list The long list, Mr. Speaker, should tell us all the names of Kenyans who applied. The short list, Mr. Speaker, should show us the people who made it to the short list and the criteria that was used. We'll be able to see whether the criteria was only academic or we also took into account regional balance, Mr. Speaker. We also need to see whether there was affirmative action that was taken to give opportunity to the youth, maybe to give opportunity to people with disability, or to give opportunity to people who come from marginalized areas. That's why we are senators, to ensure that there is fairness in a process like what we are trying to approve this afternoon. So, Mr. Speaker, there is nothing wrong in us seeking more transparency, more accountability from Public Service Commission. Why, Mr. Speaker, should PSC fail to give us a list? Also, we need to see from the commissioners within the Public Service Commission, how are they scoring candidates? Because the only way you can bring in an accusation of nepotism or a tribalism is to see, Mr. Speaker, how the commissioners are scoring each candidate, Mr. Speaker. So we must, Mr. Speaker, live true to the spirit of Article 73, sub-Article 3 of the Constitution of Kenya. And Mr. Speaker, if you read Article 73, it says that anybody that is seeking an appointive office should get it on the basis of objectivity and impartiality in decision making by the person making that decision. It should be free and not be influenced by nepotism or favorism, Mr. Speaker. And the people who should ensure that the Constitution of Kenya is followed and that the law is followed is us senators, Mr. Speaker. So we need, I don't know whether the best recommendation to make, Senator Mundigi, is maybe to amend our standing orders so that next time we get a name being forwarded to us, because in this particular case, the law is only giving PSC an obligation to forward one name to Parliament. We demand that they give us a detailed report, including the score chart. We see how they picked the candidate. 3, Mr. Speaker, we are a country of, I believe now 45 tribes. We used to be 42, around there. 40? Around 47 tribes. Mr. Speaker, I want to have a sense of pride as a Kenyan, but with that cultural heritage of coming from the Omogusi community. The same way that I'm sure Senator Mundigi is proud of that heritage, that he belongs to the Embu sub-tribe. The way I'm sure Senator Wambua is proud that he's from the Kamba, and I'm sure Senator Faki, and all other senators. And Mr. Speaker, in making appointments to public bodies, parastatals or permanent secretaries or cabinet secretaries, Mr. Speaker, everybody, all tribes want to see that they are represented. You cannot tell me, Mr. Speaker, that the Kalenjin will sit easy if they see President Ruto appointing cabinet secretaries and there is not even a single Kalenjin. They will not sit easy. They will question and say, where is our representation in the national government? So it's the same way, Mr. Speaker, when I see appointments in parastatals, when I want to go down the list and see who is heading what, I also want to see that the Omogusi nation has a cake. And I'm sure Senator Mundigi wants to see that the Embu people have a cake. He is proud of my good friend Justin Muturi, who is a cabinet secretary. If we touch him unfairly, I'm sure Mundigi will be up on his feet. So we want, Mr. Speaker, to see that as Kenyans, all of us 47, Mr. Speaker, we have a share. We just want a small share of the cake because we want to build a strong nation, Mr. Speaker. When I see you as a senator of Garissa, I look at you as my brother, my Kenyan brother. I don't look at you as a Muslim from Garissa. That's the way I look at Wambua, the way I look at Senator Mundigi. When he invites me to his house to have a meal, I'm going to the house of my brother to have a meal, Mr. Speaker. And that is the spirit we need to have in this house. When we see a name, Mr. Speaker, we should not have the kind of debate we have seen this afternoon, where people are feeling that a certain tribe is getting a bigger share of the cake than the other. Let us promote brotherhood, oneness. We build one Kenya that we are all proud of, Mr. Speaker. If you go to Somalia, 90 years ago, Somalia was a strong nation. But competition, just competition among clans, is what destroyed Somalia. A country that had huge potential. But just that competition for who is having what position, who is controlling what, is what destroyed Somalia. We don't want to reach there. We don't want to go there. Our diversity should be our strength. You know? So if Public Service Commission is watching, let them not subject themselves to these kind of doubts that we have seen this afternoon, Mr. Speaker. The fourth point I wanted to make, Mr. Speaker, there is there are constitutional bodies in this country that have been given prominence in our constitution. We have Chapter 6, Mr. Speaker, where we have created a body called Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. And that is the body that is tasked with ensuring that Chapter 6 is complied with. Before we had the 2010 Constitution, you could appoint anybody to public office. There was no requirement from any public entity that you go to EACC and get a clearance. There was nothing. You could be a crook, but as long as the president has said you get an appointment, you get it. But there was a paradigm shift in 2010. And we said we want integrity to be an integral part of our national ethos and values and our leadership. That's why, Mr. Speaker, anytime you are seeking public appointment, Mr. Speaker, you will be told go to Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission and seek clearance. What worries me in this report, and I've tried to look at the meat in the conclusion of the committee, I'm not able to get it. There's just a mention at page 33 that EACC, and I believe, I don't want to have any doubt that EACC has nothing personal against David Kibet Kemei. I don't think anybody at EACC has anything personal against this Kenyan. But, Mr. Speaker, they have written to Parliament raising an objection, okay, on the basis that there was a court judgment where the KMTC board was surcharged. I don't know how the committee was able to navigate around that objection that was raised by EACC. If that objection was from someone like Mundigi, I'll say maybe Mundigi, those are his political competitors. But you know, Mr. Speaker, this is from Ethics Anti-Corruption Commission. There is a chance that the guy heading EACC, my good friend, doesn't know this gentleman. But because he's there to ensure that Chapter 6 is complied with, he had a constitutional obligation to disclose to Parliament that the person you are about to approve has these issues. The question I'm asking, Mr. Speaker, how are we going to encourage EACC to look at Kenyans who have questionable integrity if every time they write to us, we ignore their objection? They are going to give up. They will say, there is no need of writing to Parliament. Our input will be ignored, even when they are backing it with a court decision. In 2007, this country was almost going into war. Almost. And, Mr. Speaker, there were concerted efforts to pass a number of legislations to ensure that going forward, we retain unity and oneness for the country called Kenya. There was even I don't know where that bill was ever enacted. There was a bill, Equal Opportunities Act. As chairman of Law Society then, I appeared in the Parliament and I made a presentation. And we said, please, pass this bill so that every Kenyan, when there is an opportunity, you give a Kenyan an opportunity. Maybe we need to look at the bill, and we say we have something like a ticking box. If today Omogusi gets, tomorrow an Embu, the other day a Mukamba, a Luo, like that, so that everybody feels like in this country we are all getting an equal opportunity. So, Mr. Speaker, I will interrogate this report further before I cast my vote, because I want to make a decision that gives hope to Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. When the time comes, I'll make a decision, but it must be a decision that gives hope to Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, and we must, as a House, assure the country that we are objective, we are impartial, we have the best interest of this country at heart. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Julius Murko.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to also add my voice to those of my colleagues. I support the motion by saying that Mr. Kemei comes in with a lot of positive credibility from both those who sat and heard him and interviewed him. They have a lot of positive remarks and recommendations after his name. And also he comes in with a wealth of experience from previous positions he has held. And therefore he suits in to be Director of General the position that he will be director of, and also the fact that businesses these days need a lot of people with a lot of experience or wealth of experience, so that as they bring in new ideas, they also have experience of what has been happening, so that there is a face lift and uplift of businesses, and so that the economy of the country is also uplifted or face lifted through the experience of people such as Kemei and the others. And then with that comes with quality of work and effort and
Senator Hamida, what is your point of order? Senator Hamida, you don't have the mic.
Mr. Speaker, stand regarding the standing order 41 regarding the quorum, Mr. Speaker. I feel strongly that we haven't raised the quorum.
Clerk. Honorable Senators, there being no quorum, we're going to ring the bell for 10 minutes to see if we can establish quorum. Sergeant at Arms, please ring the bell. Honorable Senators, having failed to attain quorum at the expiry of 10 minutes, the House stands adjourned pursuant to Standing Order 41-2A until tomorrow, Wednesday, 2nd October 2024 at 9:30 a.m.
Just on paper, they are not in action. Opportunities has become the preserve of only the major tribes in this country. Mr. Speaker, I'm not a flower girl to sit in this house to always approve names for only few communities, Mr. Speaker. Kenya belongs to 47 tribes. 47 tribes. Day in, day out, we are approving names. I ask, are other Kenyans not competent? Are they not qualified? I'm reminded of the predecessor of this gentleman, David Kibet. One Dr. Adano has been acting for 21 months. 21 months in the same position. That begs many questions. There were so many irregularities in the recruitment of officers in the same office. So my concern, in as much as I approve the appointment of Kibet, Kenya doesn't belong to 2 to 3 or 4 tribes. Kenya belongs to 47 tribes. I don't know when an Ajuran, which is a tribe also in this country, a nominee from that community shall come to the floor of this house